G'day, folks. Anthony, AOS coach here, bringing you faction-focused Slaanesh. I have two sexy-assed, demon princes, heralds. What do we call you guys? Joel, you are the overlord of Measured Gaming. What demon are you?
I'm not so much a demon. Been given the self-title of the Dark Prince Down Under.
The Dark Prince Down
That's
Under.
good.
We did have a nickname for your Exalted Greater Demon, but you are... I like it.
I'm Joel. Yeah. The Dark Prince of Down Under. It's good.
The Dark Prince of Down Under, Joel.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Monty Python skit.
Could be.
I like it. And for people who don't know who you are because they've avoided Twitter, they've avoided an Australian event, they've got no idea who you are, Joel, give us a rundown. Introduce yourself to the internet.
Yeah, so as before mentioned, my name's Joel. I'm from Bendigo in Victoria, and a part of Measured Gaming. So the crew, I'm sure you've heard about them before if you haven't heard of me. And been playing Slaanesh for about 2 years now, I think, and loving the new book. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
And you were OG. You were playing this well before the book dropped. So it's great to have your experience on board. Awesome. And to my right, I have Mitch. Mitch, the Lord of Ruin. You can't be from Down Under. What are you?
Oh, from Seatown, I guess. That's the only thing I've got going for me. Lived here my whole life.
So who are you? Give us a rundown. You
I?
are one of my local gaming club members.
Yep.
But
Lords of Ruin, previously Lords of Liverpool. Been running Slaanesh. When was CanCon? Earlier this year, so a bit under a year now. And I've always loved Slaanesh. I wanted to play Emperor's Children back in 40k, and coming into AOS, it seemed super easy when there were so many rumors of things coming out. I can't get over how strong they are now.
No, you guys have been rewarded. You OG players have been rewarded. It's a fun book. It's a great book. I'm scared about some of the stuff that's coming out of this. The meta is evolving. It sounds like, Joel, you've recently won a tournament and you took first place with them. So you got some good hand experience here. Yeah,
that was the tourney up in Cairns a couple of weeks back now. So I think the book was out for about a week prior to that event. So yeah, it was good to get a win early. I think it was the first place for the new Slaanesh in the country, in the world. So yeah.
And you've also done great at events prior without a book. So let's dig in. I'm super excited to learn from you guys what I need to do and how I can overcome Slaanesh. So at a very high level, I don't know who Slaanesh is. I've never read about Slaanesh. Mitch, what's the high level? Who is Slaanesh? Who is the Dark Prince?
Just the aspect of perfection and pushing yourself to extremes. Very competitive on the table now too, but in general, for me, it was always like the idea of your entire army is competing against itself as well as the enemy.
Great. And Joel, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, so the Dark Prince, or She Who Thirsts, is the god of excess. And so that can be sex, drugs, and rock and roll as it's commonly perceived as. However, when you look at it a little bit deeper, it's if you want to be the mightiest Corn Lord, that's actually feeding Slaanesh as well, because the desire for him to be the best there ever was, that's excessive. So yeah, very strong god, and that's why all the other ones are scared of him.
Which also probably pisses off Corn, which is another great part.
Yeah, that's right. It's all that matters at the end of the day.
And I knew the story. So from the end times, in the world that was, Slaanesh had gorged she's self full of the elves. Basically got really, really, I guess, fat and kind of needed to slumber. Zench had kind of pointed where he was to Teclis, Tyrion, Marathi, basically kind of tied him up and kept him within the realms. And I guess I'm summarizing it very, very quickly. There's a lot of in-depth lore here, but Slaanesh is now released, which is why the battle tomes come out. We had the Daughters of Cain who kind of started stealing the souls from Slaanesh. Has there been any advancement to the story, or what else do we need to know about Slaanesh's return other than getting a sexy ass book?
Yeah, so Slaanesh actually isn't free. She's still captured. And what's happening is after the Necro Quake, Slaanesh is sending these really hidden whispers to all of her followers who are going around doing deeds and breaking chains. And so slowly Slaanesh is breaking free, but at the current time, we're still trapped.
Because Morathi had got a little bit greedy herself and started stealing more souls than the others. So it sounds like Slaanesh is not free just yet, but I'm sure something's going to happen. I love this.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start, Mitch. Mitch, what attracted you to Slaanesh? So we love the excess, we love the models. What do we like about Slaanesh?
Well, it started with I've always in AOS liked fast armies. Any army that can get into combat, get slashing straight away has been on the table for me. So I started with Flesh Eaters, and I'd considered going into other armies, but there had to be one demon army. I had to pick either Zinj, Khorne, Slaanesh, or Nurgle, and the rest just didn't stand out to me.
Great. And Joel, yourself?
Like any other army that I really start, apart from Stormcast, I start to prove a point to the guys in my local club. And I thought I like collecting armies that no one else in my area is playing. So Slaanesh was just the obvious choice because I saw a lot of potential in them back then, prior to even the General's Handbook. So, yeah.
No, this is great. And fun fact, I have a whole bunch of 4th and 5th edition Slaanesh. So I had a mixed Chaos Force, which was basically Zinj demons and Slaanesh demons. Ironic, given the lore, as they hate each other. But I'm really interested to learn about demonettes and what's, I guess, evolved since that time. So Joel, let's start with the strengths. Like, what are the strengths of the Slaanesh book and this army in general?
So firstly, the biggest strength, in my opinion, is the depravity points. So this is a summoning mechanic for the army. Basically, whenever your heroes do a wound or a mortal wound in combat or with a spell, they generate a depravity point for every wound that doesn't kill a model. And then every time that they take damage before they die, generates a depravity point. So those depravity points, they rack up quite quickly, and you can start summoning off of other heroes, more demonettes or more heroes. You can even summon a Keeper of Secrets if you want to. Really, really strong mechanic.
Is it, in your opinion, is it the strongest summoning mechanic we currently have?
Without a doubt. But the counterbalance to such a strong mechanic is you can turn it off as the opponent to a Slaanesh army. You can just shoot off or kill all their heroes, and then you can no longer summon. And then the army's glass as well. So what I mean by that is it's super fragile. So if you can get the upper hand on Slaanesh, you will just tear through the army pretty quickly.
Mitch, any other strengths you'd add to that?
To the overall army or to the summoning? Because summoning, the fact that we can summon more heroes is, even if it wasn't as cheap as it is, being able to summon more heroes who can summon then more units makes it overwhelming if they don't kill the last hero. If you got one little herald at the back of the board, suddenly your entire army's slowly making its way back out.
Which I saw Joel sneakily do at Border Wars, summoning a hero to a hero to a hero to a hero, and then 10 demonettes. I don't know if you can still do that, but that was a cheeky little summon you did against Jesse Perkins.
I can't see why you'd be able to do it.
Yeah, you can still daisy chain summon. The downside is, though, that the Rapturouses, at the time, they cost only 6 depravity points, and now they're 14, I think. So, you can't exactly daisy chain like what I did, but that was literally my last model left in that game. And then turn 5, 1 priority, and then summoned onto all the objectives and won. Blood and glory.
That's beautiful.
It was amazing. And if you want to hear more about this story, check out the Measured Gaming podcast, because they did an awesome review. And a lot of us were sitting there scratching our heads going, how is this even possible? So, but that's a different podcast in itself.
Yeah, check out Bush Radio. Shout out.
Shout out to Bush Radio. It's a great podcast. Yeah. So we know Slaanesh is fast. We know we've got great depravity points. What other strengths does Slaanesh have?
Well, double hits on 6s. It's army wide now, so it's insane. The fact that you can go from 2 attacks on a Keeper of Secrets to do 5 damage apiece to getting lucky and getting 4 attacks out, it can kill anything. A Keeper can fight anything in the game.
And it's an awesome model.
Yeah.
I just got to say, it's a friggin' fantastic model.
Yeah. What also makes Euphoric Killers as the rule really good is units of 20 or more. Every 6 is counted as 2 hits.
Yep.
So a horde of Demonettes of 30 models is getting about, 60 odd hits through, which is just insane.
30 Demonettes, 3s on 6s, and then if you have Euphoric, what's the other one? The Battalion. Epicurean Revelers. You get 6s to wound and mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So they're just
Demonettes are nasty.
So good.
Very, very nasty.
Oh, here's some glimpses to the future. Go on.
There's one more really, really, really strong mechanic in Slaanesh, and that's called the Locus of Diversion.
Yep.
And basically any hero in the battle tome, as well as the Forge World Keeper of Secrets, get this rule. So your Slaves of Darkness and your Beasts of Chaos stuff won't get this, but we'll touch on them a bit later. And basically, at the end of the charge phase, you pick a enemy unit within 6 inches, and on a 4+, they fight at the end of the combat phase. If they're fighting first, then they cancel each other out and they fight normally. And then if the demon that's doing it, the hero that's doing it, is like a Keeper of Secrets, they add 2 to that, so it's on a 2+.
So hypothetical scenario, you've got 3 units in combat with me, and I've just got one, large unit of 60 grots. Does that mean that I have to wait for all 3 of your units to attack before I attack, or does that unit have to attack last out of my choices?
You have to wait because you're going last. You don't lose your combat.
So it's not like the unit goes last, but like if I had 2 units to choose from, it's not like that one goes last. It's like literally you're going to attack first and just
fight at the end of the combat phase.
Yeah. So if you had 2 units and we only affected one, the other unit still gets to go.
For sure. But if we're in like an even situation, you have opportunities to do that to me on the 2-up or the 4-up. It literally means I'm fighting last. So that in itself is super powerful and super strong. So I love it for you.
It is a bit dicey. You can't re-roll it, and you can't stack it. So say if you've got 2 heroes against the 1 unit, and if you fail 1, you don't get the second chance from the other hero. Yeah. So something to keep in mind. Which
is why the Contorted Epitome is one of the best models we've gotten, because it has another version of it that happens in the combat phase instead of the charge phase. So
you're a sneaky second attempt.
Yeah, that's right.
I like it. So what are the strengths? I think, Joel, you alluded before about the glass cannon. What other weaknesses do they have, Joel? And then I'll find out what else Mitch thinks.
I don't really want to disclose any more weaknesses.
That's all he's asking about.
As someone sitting here on my ivory throne of grots, I think you guys have already alluded to the fact that you have an over-reliance on heroes, and the moment those heroes disappear, the depravity points kind of become null and void. Is that true?
100%. Yep.
Yeah. There's no getting around that. Even like the regular units in the army don't hold a candle to how strong the heroes can be.
Yeah. And Joel, what other weaknesses do you have? Come on. Armor saves. Does it look like you guys have very strong armor saves?
Yeah. So as I said before, the army's glass, so nothing in the book has better than a 4+ save, and relatively low wounds on most of our stuff. So like the Keeper of Secrets has the same survivability essentially as a Bloodthirster, but they're weak as piss as well. So the only difference is that the Keeper hits a lot harder.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like you guys are trying to keep your weaknesses, or maybe you don't have enough weaknesses. Maybe that's where that FAQ is meant to help us, but clearly not. So no weaknesses for Slaanesh. They're amazing. Just heroes.
Yeah. We're keeping our secrets for now, mate.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So if I was to go Allegiance Slaanesh as opposed to Grand Alliance Chaos, what are those benefits that I'm going to get by taking this allegiance? So do I get a terrain piece? What do I get for my swearing my allegiance to the Dark Prince? Mitch.
Yeah, so you get Mitch.
You get the famous Slaanesh, which is one of my favorite terrain pieces that have come out recently. Because it's useful the entire game. Depending on if you're playing Pretenders, it's not as good for the rerolls because you can give yourself a certain command trait. But Keepers of Secrets getting rerolls from that thing, taking 1 wound and then rerolling all hits is amazing. Keeping a hero around it to summon and get a little bit of a refund.
Is there rules for the terrain piece? Like, can you put it anywhere on the board, or is there like restrictions?
Just within your territory, which depending on the game type can be half of the board. So you can place it ahead and move up to it instead of like the throne for the Flesh Eaters where it's got to be 12 inches from the board edge.
Yeah. And Joel, anything else you get for swearing allegiance to the Dark Prince?
Apart from the terrain piece and everything else that we just mentioned before about the benefits, I think that's pretty much it, really. You get there's no like battle line ifs. You get Hellstriders as battle line,
but you've got your endless spells. No. I guess I'm talking aloud. Like you get a few extra things.
Yeah. So the endless spells, they're cool, but I don't think they're game breaking. There's 3 of obviously. Yeah.
There's 1 out of 3 that is potentially amazing, and most of the time mediocre. Which is the mirror. I love it. I've rolled in 2 different games. I've rolled 9 mortal wounds on it on a hero with 6 wounds, so it's not too bad.
I guess the reason why we don't really like the endless spells is because they don't generate depravity points. Yep. So a lot of them are doing just mortal wounds, and that's less depravity points that you're doing for every point of damage that they do.
Okay, good call out. Now Stormcast have chambers. Daughters have temples. Does Slaanesh have some way of like customizing their force with this, I guess, a sub-allegiance?
Yeah, so when you pick Slaanesh as your allegiance, you must choose one of the 3 hosts to build your army around. So there's Pretenders, Invaders, and Godseekers. All 3 of them have different command traits and artifacts to choose from. You can't cross-pollinate, though, so you must choose out of those ones. And, they all have different bonuses. You generate depravity points in addition to just doing damage now as well. And so all 3 of those have different ways to do it. And, Mitch, what do you reckon?
I think that Invaders will almost never be played by me because I'm very narrow-minded in what I like in an army. There's a little too many restrictions on it. If you're bringing the new Demon Prince, that's a must if you bring him, unless you are low points and you're only bringing him as your general. Yeah. Pretenders is probably my favorite. Just the idea of someone running around pretending to be Slaanesh and inspiring all these other demons. And Godseekers, I was a little down on them at the start because I remember them giving +2 to all my big move units. Yeah. But then the +1 to charges, I realized with all of our summoning is just brutal.
It's really good. When you pair that with, say, Cogs or something, when you're charging on a 6 instead of a 9 with summoned units, it's pretty good.
Yep.
The Godseekers is the one to choose, or that's the strongest of the 3?
No, I reckon Pretenders is still probably the strongest. However, all 3 of them do have their bonuses, and you could take with Slaanesh, you could take the exact same list in terms of units. It's like 2,000 point Slaanesh army, and if you put that into any of the 3 hosts, it would play completely differently, which is what I really, really like about the book.
Yeah.
So when you guys are building a force, I know some armies start with that type of sub-allegiance and build from that. So Gloomspite, for example, I think about I'm going to be very grot heavy or squig heavy. Is that a big factor when you start list building, or do you guys look more for things like heroes and battalions to start the list building process?
Mitch? A lot of mine has been around what I have right now. I've got plans for more, like for Sydney GT. I've got few things I'm going to buy because it's a lot larger points. But yeah, I usually start with a Keeper of Secrets and then decide which of the two hosts fits my points better. I always try to add a Keeper though.
So you're building around the Keeper.
Yeah.
And Joel, where do you start?
I think the Keeper's probably an auto-include in most, if not all, Slaanesh armies at the moment, like minimum of one. It has a command ability that lets your stuff fight for a second time, which is just really, really good on a really combat-y army. So, I guess when you have that Keeper, it's going to usually be your general as well. You just choose whether or not you want it for damage or for speed. If you're going to take models like Syll'Esske, who need to be a general to use their command ability, that's when you start looking into the Invaders host, because you don't actually want it to be the general, but it counts as being one.
Yeah.
So maybe what I'm hearing is that the hero choice, especially with the Keeper of Secrets and how you want to start building around it, is important. Do you see a world where you wouldn't take a Keeper of Secrets?
Yeah.
Other than like a really small point value?
If it's a normal game of a tournament, then I'm always going to have at least one Keeper, preferably two.
Is there any reasons why you wouldn't take a Keeper?
Yes, there would be. It'd be to run a lawnmower army. So all the chariots for Slaanesh, they're typically lawnmowers. That's what they are in the narrative as well. I'd just be running a whole heap of them and stuff the Keeper off someone in one later kind of thing. But that's going to probably be the only time that I don't, is if I'm doing a themed army like that, which would still be effective, by the way, because they're pretty good.
They're so strong now.
The heralds on the chariots are awesome.
Oh yeah.
Except to build because they're spiky and you'll bleed because they hurt.
They were way easier to build than people made out, though. I was like,
they're easy to build, but they're just a pain in the ass because all the cogs of the spikes on them, they're all separate. It's just a pain in the ass.
Look, I have hands that avoid manual labor, so I get injured really easily.
That's fair enough. If you want to avoid buying the endless spells, just make one out of the chariots.
Yeah.
Take all the whips. All right. Well, let's start talking list building. And I think what's coming quite quickly out of this discussion is that heroes are very important. So maybe we'll start with the hero choices and thinking about which of the heroes that really stand out strong, or maybe some of the auto includes, or ones that maybe only fit into lists in particular scenarios, or maybe some particular sub-allegiances. So let's talk Keeper of Secrets first. We obviously really like it. Why do we like it? How do we kit it out? Talk to me about the Keeper. Joel, you first. I know you're a big fan of it.
So the Keeper of Secrets is 360 points. And basically, as I just said before, it has an awesome command ability to make your stuff fight twice. When you take it, there's 3 different options that you can give it. So it's armed with, it's got its big claws, which are 5 damage a pop. And then you've got its sword, which is 2 damage a pop. And then, on its other hand, you can take either the Living Whip, the Sinistrous Hand, or the Ritual Knife. And what I go for is always the Sinistrous Hand. So the reason is when you kill something, at the end of that combat phase, you heal D3 wounds. If you kill a hero, you heal D6. That's why.
And it doesn't have to be with the hand, which is the most important part.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah. It makes depravity really, really good when you're doubling down on the amount of wounds that you're taking on a model. So if you're keeping them alive for longer while they're taking damage, then you're just generating more. Yeah.
It's completely possible to have a Keeper die and have generated enough points from taking wounds to summon itself again. Just from continually healing it, even if you're fighting a horde army.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to pause there and just admire the amazingness of what you just said.
That which part?
Just the fact that you could take damage and summon another Keeper off the back of a dead Keeper. So Joel, how many keepers do you keep in your back pocket? Like when you come to a tournament, you're probably bringing, 1 to 2 keepers. Do you have more up your sleeve?
Yeah, so I have 3 keepers on me in total, 1 in my list, and then 2 on my sideboard. Because they cost 30 depravity points to summon. So if like one of your keeper dies, you're already halfway to getting another one. If it does damage, if it kills a dragon or something, you're already halfway to getting one. So yeah, you get them, you rack it up quite quickly.
Yeah, especially with 10 damage from the claws. If you're going pretenders and you have the sliver slash, you've got 20 damage out of the claws.
Yeah.
All right. So keeper, awesome. Auto include, bring 1, have at least 2 more up your sleeve minimum.
My
love
favorite
it.
part about the keeper is the fact it's on a small base. Its base isn't like Terrorgeist size. It's so easy to get around the board.
So why is that important to you?
Avoiding being within 6 inches of my army for pretenders rerolls, because the keeper with that command ability has to stay out of a certain range to get its rerolls. If it had a big base, it'd be a lot harder.
Another good thing, if you want to make it fly, like in Godseekers, there's an artifact that lets you fly. You wouldn't take that one; you'd take the Thermal Rider cloak. But
absolutely,
but being able to just fly over chaff screens and stuff, and then start doing your damage there is really good. Yep. It also makes your opponent have a tougher job of screening off because it can actually fly. One other thing that I really like about the Keeper too, it's just on its War Scroll, Delicate Precision. Every time it wounds on a natural 6, the damage that it would do with that attack is mortal wounds instead.
Yep.
So
5 damage, mortal wounds.
Is that a modifiable roll or is it unmodified?
Unmodified.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's really good.
She's very scary now.
Yes.
And she looks it.
Yes. Amazing model.
So Keeper of Secrets, definitely 100% in the list. Basically, don't leave home without one. And for 360, I think it's very reasonably priced. Yeah. Cool. I like it. What do we think of the hero Keeper of Secrets? The hero, the unique one, Syll'Esske.
I think it has less damage potential.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Less damage potential, same sort of stats. Doesn't have a command ability. It is 20 points cheaper. But you'd want Syll'Esske in your list to go and go kill those little foot heroes. She's not going to be able to kill a dragon reliably by herself in a turn.
Yeah.
They do get access to rerolls through like issuing a challenge or issuing a challenge with Syll'Esske here. But I don't know. It's not overly good. In my opinion, I do see value in her. You could just take her instead of, as well as a regular keeper, but it's not to replace a regular keeper.
So would you, in a list, take 1 keeper and 1 Syll'Esske, or do you think a double keeper would be more beneficial?
A regular keeper is only 20 more points and it's more damage, just as survivable, unless like Syll'Esske gets the +1 save against heroes. But then they'll just target you with not heroes.
So in Joel, in what situation would you think Syll'Esske would be a better choice than taking a second keeper?
If you ended up with 2 keepers in your list and you were 20 points over.
I had a feeling that would be the answer.
If you're playing a narrative game and you like Syll'Esske, I think it's a cool model and it's a shame that it's not stronger.
Yeah, look, what makes it not a good choice, in my opinion, is on her Soul Piercer, the really big spear. It's only got 1 attack, and that just like 1 attack that does D6 damage, or potentially 6 if you issue the challenge. It's just not an optimal choice.
She can't take command traits or artifacts. Doesn't get any stronger than the page gives you. So
yeah, she's got a self buff with her own spell. She rerolls hits. Yeah, when she attacks a hero, and she rerolls saves. Yeah, when she takes damage from a hero. But yeah, she's just by herself. You generally, if you were taking her, you would want to keep her secrets wholly within 12 of her. So then she can pile an attack twice. So she needs babysitting.
No command trait. No command ability.
So what I'm hearing is that for the 20 points more, you just get so much more value by taking a second Keeper of Secrets than taking Syll'Esske.
Absolutely.
In case there's like some very odd situations, it sounds like a second Keeper would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Mitch, what would be another hero that you would recommend from Slaanesh?
The Contorted Epitome. I just fumbled all that, but the Mirror, the spellcasting 2 Demonette Mirror.
So 200 points. It's a leader.
Amazing.
Why do we take it?
Level 2 wizard, rerolls failed casts, 2 up save against mortal wounds, and it has a Locus of Distraction because it's a hero, but then it also has another version of that happens in the combat phase instead of the end of the charge phase. So that if you fail to get someone, she goes again in the start of the combat phase to push them to the last as like your last line of defense on forcing people to go last. So there's 2 extra ones, I guess. And it affects everyone within 6 instead of one specific hero unit.
Love it. Love it.
What makes the Contorted Epitome so good for is, as Mitch described, it's called Horrible Fascination. The Locus is a unit. Horrible Fascination is every enemy unit within 6 inches at the start of combat. 4+, you fight last. It's really, really good.
So it's an area of effect as opposed to the choosing one and on that roll it.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, it's giving you a 4-up reroll. If you're running like her and another hero, you're getting a 4-up reroll on like 2 units. It's really good.
Yeah, that's great. That's very dangerous.
Yep.
Joel.
But go for it.
No, I was going to ask you: have you got another hero choice, or are we still talking about the Contorted?
Well. No, we'll go another hero choice.
All right, so
this is actually
Dick.
I forgot to say just before that, she also has a Wayburner version of the Herald spell that can target up to 3 enemy units to give you rerolls of 1 against them, and it's 24-inch range. So
what is the Herald spell? We haven't talked about it yet. So what is the Herald spell, and what's the new one?
The Herald one is called Acquiescence, where you target a unit within 18 and give anyone who targets them for attacks gets rerolls of 1. The Overwhelming Acquiescence, I think, is the Epitome's one. And essentially, it's you roll a d3, that's how many units within 24 inches get rerolls when they hit. Rerolls of 1. So,
yeah, and that's army-wide too. It's really strong.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't argue with a 200-point 7-wound hero that's rerolling casts, unbinds, and dispels. It's really, that's just on 1 profile. She's got 2 more as well. So, yeah, she's really good sort of judgment wielder.
Yeah, that's going to be scary.
Is she another auto include like the Keeper?
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure you can build a list. I'm sure you could build a list without her in there, but I think that she's too good value at the moment not to take.
And look, obviously,
just having that reliability.
We're talking here in a very competitive sense. And, again, in every video I mentioned, this is your hobby. Do what you want to do, build and paint what you want to paint. But we're talking here like, list optimization and getting the most out of your force. So bear that in mind, guys. If you like something and you want to take Syll'Esske, take it. But we're just talking, competitive here.
No, but if it lasts too long, consult your doctor after taking Syll'Esske.
That sounds like an American, one of those medical.
I should have said it faster if it was an American one.
So, all right. So we're going to take the Contorted, Keeper of Secrets, minimum 1. Joel, what's the next hero that you would recommend?
The unsung hero in the book, like the Keeper's great, but the pick out of all the heroes, in my humble opinion, is the Bladebringer Herald on Exalted Chariot.
I was so hoping you'd say that. I was worried.
There's a few other ones which are pretty good, but this thing here is just fucking amazing. Where do we start? 10 wounds. It's got a 10-inch move. It's got like 23 attacks on its profile.
Yep, base.
Base. 4-up save. And what it does is, it's 220 points, by the way. It's a wizard now as well, which is just even better. And what it does now is it does 2 lots of mortal wounds. So 1 on impact. When it charges, you roll a dice for a unit within 1. On a 1, nothing happens. 2 to 4, they take D3 mortals. On a 5+, they take D6. And then at the start of combat, at the end of the charge phase, start of combat, whenever it is, you roll a dice for each unit within an inch of it, and on a 2+, they take D3 mortal wounds, and for every 2+ you roll, you add 1 to the attack's characteristics of all of its weapons. It's got 3 weapon profiles.
Yep.
So for every 2+, there's actually 3 extra attacks in total.
And all those are generating depravity points as well, right?
No,
that's an ability.
No, they don't.
They're not.
However, no, abilities don't generate depravity points, but you're doing enough depravity points everywhere else in the game that it doesn't even matter. Ideally, you want to be killing the things that you're in combat with, and this is the trap that a lot of people are going to fall into when playing Slaanesh. They're going to build their army all around generating depravity points, just trying to milk that for as much as you can. That's not, in my opinion, the most optimal way to do it. You need to have other units that are still doing damage, which are ideally better than some other choices in the book, which would potentially generate more depravity down the track. But the Exalted Chariot, as I was saying, 23 attacks, it's doing damage, like it's doing a lot of work. You can make that thing pump out over 60 attacks quite easily with a double pile in.
I mean, even without your bonus attacks, you're still getting, what, 46?
Yeah.
Base.
Yeah.
Charge into as many units as you can reach every single time. Get all those 9 extra attacks, because you're most likely going to get your 2+, and it just cut up 1 unit real bad.
How
great.
How does a unit act if I was to charge it? So if it doesn't get the charge off, how is it still effective?
Yeah, it doesn't get its impact hits, but it still gets its 2+ to do D3 mortals and extra attacks. That makes you fight last on a 4+.
If you're going for an easy kill on a chariot, don't charge it, because it's going to get out mortal wounds for free, and then you might kill it, or it'll force you to go last.
Yeah.
I guess
what
I
find their use.
Go on, Joel.
Sorry, what I find their use the most is being an anti-horde unit, but they can kill other things as well. So, say if you've got 60 grots against me, Magro, this thing will chew through a good 15, 20 of them in a turn, just with mortal wounds and all of its attacks.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm thinking and calling out here is, often a chariot does really well. Generically, a chariot does really well when it gets the charge, but when it doesn't get the charge, it doesn't fare that well and often is an easy target. But it sounds like this particular one, the Blade Bringer, is not in that situation. It sounds like it's a lot more resilient and still killy when it doesn't get the charge off.
Yeah, being 10 wounds now has made a big difference. I think it was a 5+ save before.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely got a
way more
buff.
survivable, more attacks, more wounds.
It's generally going to be rerolling ones to hit against you because its own spell is acquiescence.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's got 15 attacks, 3s and 4s with -1 rend. So yeah, choose through hordes.
While we're talking about the Blade Bringer, how does this compare to the Herald on Hellflayer and the Herald on Seeker Chariot? Just because it is very similar on a points value. At the moment, it's 220 versus 180 and 160. Are they comparable, or is this one a real standout?
It's a real standout. It's not that much points you'd be saving if you have to cut points. But then it's just so strong because it gets the 2 versions of the mortal wounds. It has so many attacks. I wouldn't take any of the others.
Good way of looking at the Exalted in comparison to the other 2 is that those 2 make the Exalted Chariot. So, like the other ones, they've got certain buffs which the Exalted Chariot does have. So, yeah, they're kind of watered down versions. I wouldn't take them unless if you wanted like a higher wound hero for 160 or 180 and you didn't have the points.
Yeah.
But yeah, always take the Exalted in my opinion.
The only thing the Exalted doesn't have for some reason is the fallback and charge.
Yeah, well, it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing that yeah, that's one thing that makes the Hellflayer chariots good is that they can retreat and charge. It's the Hellflayers, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're the ones that have the impact.
No, sorry, it's the regular Seeker Chariot, so the smaller version of the Exalted. Yeah, yeah, so that's nice, especially if you're running like Godseekers hosts. And these guys are actually like the non-character ones, so just the regular Seeker Chariots. They're retreating and charging, so you actually generate depravity points every time that you charge. So, yeah.
Great.
But yeah.
There was the 101 on Blade Bringers. So, and you've got 3 choices there, so it could be quite confusing on which ones to take or the most value. It sounds like Exalted Chariot is the one to go.
Yeah.
Any other heroes we think we really like, or are these the ones that are the top picks? Mitch?
The Herald used to be a automatic not include for me. I felt like out of all Heralds of Demons, it was like the worst one. It did rarely anything for the army. But now, because it's a wizard, it's so easy to add to your army. It has a pretty cool ability to ignore mortal wounds on a 5+, which none of the Herald on Chariot doesn't have. And I don't know why that's a thing. And the Infernal and Rapturous also doesn't have it.
The mask does, though. And so the mask actually has a 4+ wounded mortal wound shrug, which is basically just the named hero of the regular Herald on foot, who's, in my opinion, is really good for 120.
Is that Vice Leader?
Vice Leader is the regular one.
Yeah, then the mask is the hero.
Is the named one.
Gotcha.
Yep. So run and charge, 6-inch pile in. Mask is really, I really wish I could summon him. Going back to the Vice Leader on foot real quick, I would suggest anyone starting Slaanesh to go out and probably buy 2. You have to order it through GW. Go and buy 2, get them painted up. Probably never put them in your list in a larger point game, but always have them on you to daisy chain summon, because that's now your cheapest option.
So you wouldn't. So you take the Vice Leader, not in your list, but you have it in your toolkit to summon. And is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Easy.
That's correct, yeah. So they're 10 depravity points, which is the cheapest of the heroes. So you can say if you had 29 depravity points, for example, and you wanted to get halfway across the table or further, you could summon 1 Vice Leader onto another Vice Leader and then 10 Demonettes, 29 depravity points.
My favorite
part of that objective over in the corner.
My favorite part of that is the fact that if we're in game types now where you require a wizard, we can just summon wizards. We can just put them on objectives. Like, oh, well, I didn't bring as many wizards as I needed, but if I fight you, I can summon a wizard and hold the objective.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Anything else we want to talk about from a hero point of view? Any other standouts, or what's this? The Vengeful Allegiance. We've got some other choices.
Oh, right. I haven't used or bought the Demon Prince yet, so I don't have a real opinion on it. I don't.
I think it's hot garbage for competitive play. Awesome model. But yeah, I will never be including it in one of my lists. It's actually the only thing that I didn't buy when this release came out.
And that's
because I'm not planning on using it anytime soon.
No, but why is it hot garbage? Like, what makes it hot garbage?
So 200 points. No, it's not. It actually hits only slightly better than a regular Demon Prince, but that's because it has 2 weapon profiles.
Demon Prince isn't named.
Yeah, its command ability is really, really good, but it has to be the general. So that's why I was touching on earlier. In an Invaders host, that's the only time that I would be looking to run Syll'Esske. What makes it bad, in my opinion, is the way that it fights in combat. So basically, when you choose to activate it, you choose either the Demon Prince with its axe or the Herald on top's whips to attack. You don't get to attack with the other option until the end of the combat phase. Now, when whatever one that you choose for the end of the combat phase gets to reroll hit rolls, but yeah, it just doesn't do damage.
We've got access to other ways to get rerolls, so it's like that's not amazing. It's not like we were like, damn, we can't reroll anything in the army except for on Syll'Esske. It's just
I think regular Demon Princes have 8 wounds. This one only has 9, and it's like basically 2 models. So I think if it was like 12 or 13 wounds, it would be probably a better pick. But it's just too fragile. It doesn't fly like other Demon Princes either. and it's 40 points more.
And it's
So-
unique, which means you can't optimize it and can't modify it at all. So
Correct. Yeah.
It's also only
as
an
I was
8-inch
saying-
move.
It is, yeah. Awesome model. It's got a really good spell too. So like it's so good potentially, but it's just not quite there. It's got all the cool stuff on it, but basically it's spell. Pick an enemy hero within 18, and they can't use command abilities until your next hero phase.
I actually remember that coming out as a leak from Games Workshop, and I thought, man, this sounds awesome. This sounds really cool. Imagine being able to shut down command abilities, but it sounds like the trade-off's not quite there.
Yeah.
The side to that is there's a greater demon version that is better.
Yeah, basically.
In our lore, we can pick for greater demons. There's 3 spells, and one of them is that, but better.
Right. So okay. That explains why you wouldn't take this model.
And that it's not a greater demon either. So it's still only doing the Locus on a 4+ instead of a 2+. That's I mean, it's not a massive bonus, but
if it was a greater demon, I probably would take it.
Yes. Yeah,
Just
because
for
it
that
also
extra
gets
greater
access to
demon
another
choice.
spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Song of Secrets on that would be pretty good, a cheap caster.
Yeah. But you wouldn't be taking it for Song of Secrets, though. That's the problem, Like, anyway. One more special mention would be the Infernal and Rapturous. So if you play against a lot of Skaven, Tzeentch, or Death, you'd probably want one of these as well as a Contorted Epitome in your army, just for a bit of magic defense. So what these guys do is wizards have to reroll successful casting rolls while they're within 24 inches of the model. If that reroll is then a double, they take D3 mortal wounds, which is awesome. And then you have the Epitome who's unbinding with a reroll. So really, really, really good magic defense.
Yep. With that's like the opposite of the Demon Prince we were just talking about, though, where I would take the Enrapturous if her only ability was forcing the enemy wizards to reroll. But he's like, oh man, his abilities are cool, but the rest of him's not as good. It's like that one ability.
The Enrapturous has the only one of the 2 only shooting attacks in the book now that we've got the living whip on the keepers. But so it's got 2 modes for shooting. Basically, the one to talk about is the single shot, 24 inches, hits on a 2, wounds on a 3, neg 3 rend, D3 damage.
The amount of times I've rolled 1s to hit with that.
Oh,
yeah. Ridiculous. It's always when you have only one shot at something, you always miss.
Now I can't let you guys move on from leaders without talking about a hero that is in the book but isn't in the book. It is the Forge World awesome model that was in Joel's list since day 0 and is now your tournament mascot. That is the Exalted Greater Demon. Joel, why isn't it in your list anymore?
Can we just have a moment of silence for Big Tits? R.I.P.
pour the Hennessy out.
A moment of silence for the slightly weaker Keeper of Secrets.
Yeah.
So the backstory here is that Joel was very famous for running the Exalted Greater Demon, often would run 2, but has obviously changed with the new book. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, for those people who are thinking about it or maybe even have one, is it still viable? If not, why? Or if it is, how do you make it viable?
That's all yours, Joel.
Yeah, great to summon if you run out of regular keepers to summon. So they also cost 30 depravity. Have the same damage output as a regular keeper too. Yeah, reason why you wouldn't include it in your list over a regular one is they're the same points and it doesn't have a command ability. I don't know. It's just not what it used to be, mate. It took a serious nerf, and it's just still good, but it's not like what it used to be.
So the rules had changed between the battle.
It got a complete rewrite of its war scroll. It's basically, you look at the Keeper of Secrets war scroll, take out the command ability, and that's pretty much it. You don't even worry about its hair ability because it's shit. So,
is there a world that this is a viable choice, or is it purely through summoning?
I'd say purely through summoning, because there's no reason for you to include that in your army over a regular keeper unless if you didn't have the models for it.
Yeah. I think that's more than fair. And I think, especially for people who look at Forge World or maybe looking to buying one, heed that it is not as good as it used to be. And if you like me, like the other day on eBay, I saw 2 that were really cheap. So partially explains why I saw them going for $100.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about with leaders? I think we've acknowledged them.
Yeah, we've pretty much touched on all of them, actually. There's nothing else really in the book.
All right, well, let's talk battle line, Joel. So you have generic battle line, which is your demonettes for all chaos. By taking allegiance, you have access to the Hell Striders. You've got the Hell Scourges, and then if you're God Seeker, you've got the Seeker Chariots. Yep. So maybe we'll start off with the generic demonettes. So I think earlier we mentioned they are awesome. Is that true? And why are they awesome? Joel?
Well, what's not to like about them, mate, really? So you've got, they did go up slightly in points by only 10, but, whatever. 110 points for 10 models, right? 6-inch move, 5 up save, 1 wound for every 10. You think, why would I ever take these for with garbage stats like that? Let me tell you, my friend. They got 2 attacks, 4s, neg 1 damage, right? 6 is to hit, 2 hits because of the allegiance. When they're in a unit of 20 or more, 6 is to hit, 3 hits instead of 1. So all of a sudden, they're actually pumping out a whole heap of attacks. They have built-in, run and charge. They don't have built-in reroll 1s to hit anymore, but you get that in Pretender's Host, which is another reason why it's so good for. And then, you got the battalion, which is really, really strong, the Epicurean Revelers. And it's basically 2 to 4 units of demonettes. And what that gives you is basically unmodified 6s to wound is a mortal wound instead of regular damage. So when your basic battle line are all in 1 drop, as well as doing mortal wounds on the wound rolls, it's really, really strong.
And the best part about that battalion is, while it only affects demonettes, it includes fiends. So if you do bring fiends, they're a part of the 1 drop.
Yeah, and that buff actually goes onto the chariots inside that battalion as well.
I wish we could take the name ones in there.
Yes, same here.
Oh, the name ones, the heroes.
Yeah, you just take demonettes and maybe fiends if you wanted to.
So in the average 2,000 point list, am I taking MSUs? Am I taking units of 30s? Or like how do I go about with my demonette units? What's a good build?
Max 30. I have at least 2 units of them.
Yep, couldn't agree more. 30, then 10 or 20, whatever tickles your fancy.
Pay the rest of the attacks.
Yeah.
So MSU is definitely not the best build.
No, because you want to benefit from the 20 plus, and you also want them hanging around in case they do take casualties. As we're all familiar with, or maybe not familiar with, I'll tell you anyway. When you roll a 1 for Battle Shock with all the demon infantry, not just Slaanesh like demonettes, but everything else, on a 1 on your Battle Shock, you get D6 models back into the unit. So that having them have the ability to regrow is really strong too.
Or just there's been times take massive hits and then get a 1 and I'm not going to run. See ya.
Yeah, there's been times where I've just said, fuck it, I'll just take the Battle Shock and hope for a 1. Hasn't paid off, or if it does, it's great. There's also been times where I've been knocked under 20 and then rolled a 1 and then gone back over 20 to then get 3 hits on a 6 again.
Or you've lost like 2 models and you're just like, I can't fail, but I'll try anyway. And you roll a 1 and you're back to full unit size, and they just the look in the opponent's eyes is so good.
Can you go above your starting unit size?
No. None of that shenanigans. We don't get that lucky. Just everything else we get.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a pretty good run, guys. Like the whole fighting last piece is pretty good. Let's bring on an extra, 1,000 points as well. Why not?
I still sleep with the book next to me because I just want to read it sometimes. What? Let me double check. I can't remember how much points that is. Oh, yes.
Anything else worth talking about from a demonette point of view? So it sounds like minimum size 20 to start getting those benefits. 30s obviously are great, especially having one.
If it was me, I probably wouldn't be starting with a unit of 20. It'd be 30 or 10.
You don't want to
the
risk
reason,
losing one model.
Yeah, that's it. Because you're either taking them to fill up your battle line slots or the battalion tax, or you're looking to benefit out of everything. So by going 20, there's just really no real point. I mean, I took a unit of 20, but there was also another 2 units of 30. I just used them as chaff screens, really, the unit of 20. But yeah, 30s or 10s, in my opinion.
They're an even better chaff screen now because you can stick a hero behind them within 6 inches. And then if someone charges them, and you're planning on losing them anyway, but if they get to fight first, even better.
Yeah.
Do either of you take the Hellstriders either with the Claw Spear or the Hell Scourge as a battle line choice?
You're laughing, but yes, I do. They're 5 fast Chaos Warriors.
Which one do you take, the Claw Spear or the Hell Scourge, or one of each?
They're like painting whips. Spear.
So you take the Claw Spear?
Yeah.
Outside of the whip, is there any other reason why you're taking them?
That's like the models or choosing the spears instead?
Yeah, like why would you take the spear over the Scourge?
I already had them painted. I don't plan on buying more, but they are a good 5-man unit to throw in my battle line that are fast enough to cap objectives and slightly tankier than Demonettes. That's all I got.
Reason why I was laughing for is because I have a bit of a reputation with Hellstriders from Masters last year.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm not going to go into.
We're not talking.
I'm not going to go into that.
You had a lot of -1s that didn't stack for some reason.
Let's not go into that chat.
Anyway, not going into that. But so Hellstriders aren't what they used to be, which I'm fine with because you get over things. What I really like
that weight.
Yeah, it does. What I really like about them, even though they don't have their enrapturing banner anymore for -1s, what I like is them in the other battalion. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but they can just pile in 6 inches.
It's the Seeker Cavalcade.
Yeah, that one.
120 points, so 6-inch pile in.
So yeah, you can build an army, an entire army, just in that battalion with chariots, with seekers, as well as your battle line in these dudes.
Yep.
And they can all just pile in and activate from 6 inches. You don't actually have to charge, which can be kind of strong in itself if you build around it. So I think there's something definitely there. Not to mention they actually got a little bit tankier as well. So they got a 4-up save now instead of a 5-up.
They lost their mortal wound save, but that's not too bad.
Yeah, shit happens, They're Hellstriders. They're 100 points.
Cheap.
Who cares?
They're cheap.
But if you're looking at a mortal army, you definitely take those guys for an extra 10 points over Chaos Warriors any day of the week.
20 of those guys, especially with their +1 attack ability that they've got now, which is like if they killed stuff in the previous combat phase, they just get a bonus attack in this combat phase.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chaos Warriors, you can mark Chaos Warriors, and Chaos Knights, and the Shrine. Are they worth bringing into a Slaanesh force?
They're very expensive.
Yeah. Depends on the build.
30. Go ahead.
It just depends on the build. Like mortals don't synergize with the book too well because actually all of the Slaves to Darkness stuff doesn't have the Hedonites keyword, which is a big deal. So you don't get the Locus of Diversion. You still get Exploding Sixes to hit, but you don't get that Locus, which is quite big, especially for an army like Slaves to Darkness.
So it doesn't sound like Slaves to Darkness integrate as well into this battle tome as they do with Khorne or Tzeentch or some of the other forces.
Yeah, they're really.
And I remember on the Warhammer television stream, they were making a clear distinction that the Mortals was very much kind of almost separate to this book. So this kind of ties in nicely with that.
So the reason why Hellstriders are in the book still is because they got both Mortal and Demon keyword. They're actually in the narrative, they're not really sort of mortals at all. They're dudes that got trapped on a Seeker basically, and they can never leave their mount.
Going back to keywords, I wish I would take Syll'Esske if it had the mortal keyword because it was a human originally, the Demon Prince, and being able to get a mortal spellcaster in your army without losing the Hedonite keyword would be amazing.
Yeah. It's actually while we're touching on this stuff, it's important to note that Archaon is probably garbage in Slaanesh now, just because he doesn't have the Hedonite keyword, so he doesn't get half the buffs in the book.
Yeah, he does get the exploding hits, which is kind of crazy on the Slayer of Kings. I brought him to a doubles tournament. Well, my mate brought him, and I brought a keeper, and it was it was impossible to deal with.
You just can't make him double piling anymore. No. You know, like. That's what made him really cool in the old rule set.
Yeah,
but
I think Slaanesh is a book that's very much like we don't care much about named characters.
No,
we just love buffing up big non-named characters to pretty much be gods. Like that's why I love Pretenders. It's just one big god running around the board killing stuff.
And it sounds like it's a self-contained book as well, as opposed to like, let's say Nurgle, where you can bring in your Pestilence force and kind of really boost it up. Joel, this one might be for you. So Joel, in a prior life, is also a Beast of Chaos, amazing player. Do you see any synergies between those two books, or can you even bring in Beasts of Chaos into a Slaanesh force, or does it have the same type of challenges?
So you can bring them in. In the Beasts of Chaos book, they had God-marked battalions. So there's the Depraved Drove, which is basically 1 to 6 heroes and however many thing of everything else. So you can literally take everything but the monsters of chaos, so chimeras and cockatrice and all that sort of thing, in a Slaanesh army.
Really a shame, because I would love to run cockatrices with the exploding hits.
Yeah, that'd be funny actually. But so 150 points for the battalion. And you need like a 90-point hero minimum as a Beast Lord, which you wouldn't take in a Slaanesh army. You'd take a Brace Shaman, because then you'd be taking Ungors, Gors, Bestigors. Bestigors with exploding sixes is basically the list that I was running, which was pure Beast of Chaos, except Slaanesh just do it better for some reason. So, look, people like them, Beasts in Slaanesh, but I think that Demonettes will be better purely for the fact that they're on 25 mil bases as opposed to 32s as in Bestigors.
So you can do it, but again, it sounds like your inherent Slaanesh book just does it better.
That's right.
Yeah. If you've got a Beast army and a Slaanesh army and neither of them are massive, run the Beast one and just summon Demonettes. But that's more of a fun thing, like actually competitive.
For sure. And again, if you've got half a Slave to Darkness force and you want to combine it, absolutely. But if you're looking to build that real optimized Slaanesh force, then going Slaves to Darkness, going Beasts of Chaos is probably not the best choice.
Yeah, there's no point limiting your synergies. That's the way I look at it. This book is really, really strong in and of itself. I don't think you need to be pulling from slaves or from beasts straight away or ever in competitive play. I'm going to try out some things, obviously, because I have a massive collection of both. But yeah, I just don't see myself in the foreseeable future taking it to an event. I think it's a bit of a trap.
There's one spell that pushes me to want to take a Slaves to Darkness Wizard. They're expensive though. And that's the Dark Delusions. If you roll higher than the unit's bravery, everything that attacks you gets +1 to hit. But it's a mortal wizard only, so if you don't take a Slave to Darkness Wizard, you can't use it.
Very situational by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
You've got some other units to choose from. You've got your Exalted Chariot, you've got your Fiends, you've got your Flayer, you've got your... That's it. Yep. So obviously we've already acknowledged the others. Mitch, do you bring an Exalted Chariot or a Fiend? I know Liam Burnett Blue's building a very heavy Fiend list. What do we think of those units?
I was on the fence about them when they were cheaper because I ran them a few times and they whiff a lot with their tail, which is the main reason you take them.
This is Fiends, right? Not the Chariots.
Fiends, yeah, sorry. For ogre equivalent killing, their tails are very scary, but they're more expensive now, and you could fit in a lot of other heroes that are scary. I think Fiends are great for summoning. 3 Fiends summoned on an objective are really, really strong because they're not that expensive. I can't remember how many depravity points there are, but they're like
18 for 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Wouldn't pay for them though.
No, I personally don't rate Fiends at all, especially now. I think the unit in and of itself is really, really cool and
Beautiful
good.
models.
Yeah, awesome models, great rules. The downside is, and this is what's really important in a Slaanesh army, is they do the exact same role as what a hero does, like a Keeper of Secrets or whatever else. So depravity points are generated by heroes purely. Fiends aren't heroes.
Yeah.
That's what makes them not a good pick, in my opinion. I always have 3 on me to summon, just in case. You never know when you might need them. Like they've got neg 1 to casting rolls for enemy wizards. The neg 1 to hit.
Pretty short range on that neg 1 to casting though.
Yeah, it's only 12.
It's like turn 1 and 2, unless you've gotten into combat, it might not really affect the army.
Yeah. They also lost 2 points in movement. I think they used to be 14 inches instead of 12.
And you would take them in Seekers, so they were 16 inches.
Yeah, that's right. That is what I did. But yeah, for 210 points or 18 depravity. So yeah, either side of the coin, they're competing with a Herald on Exalted Chariot. 220 points as opposed to 210. They both cost 18 to summon.
Yeah, and I would always summon the Herald on Exalted Chariot.
That's right, mate.
Yeah. So I was wrong. He sold me on the fact that I would not take Fiends, and I've got 6 of them that are not painted yet.
Dude, I've got 18 Fiends.
I was so excited for them when I saw the models.
Yeah, same here.
Good job, Games Workshop. You did some great models.
Is there a world where you'll use those 18 in an optimized list outside of I have them, I want to run them?
If you could run them battle line, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a really expensive army.
It is. The only time I see myself running all my Fiends is in like a massive APOC game. Yeah.
And Joel, while we're talking to you, what about the Flayer? That's just a 1-person model, 140 points.
Oh, that's just one of the chariot without the herald on it, so it's pretty meh. But there's one unit that we haven't touched on yet, and that's the Seekers, just the regular plain Jane Seekers, Demonettes riding the horses, and they're interesting.
They're not bad.
What do you?
They're not bad, but I have like 30 of them. I haven't even started building because they're not good enough for me to put out that effort.
Yeah, I painted up 20 of them, and I hate painting Cav so much that I'm not touching the rest of them. Yeah. Actually, I didn't even paint up 20 Seeker models. I had all my Hellstriders painted up. I just ripped the bodies off.
That's what I was going to do when I saw them take away the -1.
That's right. Contrast paint's coming soon.
Yeah. But so these guys, they're 120 points for 5, 14-inch move, 2 wounds as opposed to 1, 5-up save, bravery 10. What makes them slightly better than Demonettes now is they hit on 3s instead of 4s, like what the Demonettes do. So they do potentially have more damage output. They got more attacks, like they got 2 weapon profiles.
They're finally faster than the Hellstriders again.
Yeah, finally, that's nice.
It was so weird that the mortal guys were so much faster than the Demonette ones.
Yeah. So when they run 2d6 instead of 1.
Yep.
And that just add them together. So movement 14 plus 7 or 8 or whatever is average on 2d6. They go in places.
The most common roll on 2d6 is 7. But how does the paying a command point to max run? Is that 12 or is it 6?
No, just make it 6.
Oh, but it's not worth it.
No, it's not. But yeah,
if it could make it 12, I'd pay it.
If you're spending CP to make these guys run 6, you're doing something really wrong.
You really want that
CP.
Yeah. So I've actually played with these guys in one big unit at 20. This was actually my last list I took to an event prior to the book coming out, and having them like doing extra hits and all that on 6s was pretty fun. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, this army's glass, and these guys are a great example of that. With a 5-up save and no defensive buffs, they just fall apart really, really easily.
Are Seekers good in something like a Pretenders list?
I wouldn't say Pretenders. I guess if you go high enough, you get the rerolls to 1. You get more than 10 of them.
Yeah. yeah, if you're running 10 plus, it's not bad, especially when they're hitting on 3s. But the thing is, like, running 10's fine, but I find that 20 was good, but it wasn't as good as what I was expecting it to be.
I considered running multiple units of minimum size and then doing a 3-step charge where they charge, then the demonettes move up, and then they charge, and then the heroes. But you just want the heroes in faster.
Yeah, that's right.
Just get out of our way.
Yeah. So, like, I would run these guys as well as Hellstriders in that battalion that we were talking about earlier, because these guys are super fast, and they just pile in that 6. Yeah. Then you don't even really need heroes, because you're always going to be striking first with that unit.
It would be a fun list to run that many of them inside of the 2 1-drop. Because if you're in Godseekers, you don't have to take the battalion for the demonettes to get the super battalion. You can take 1 to 2 of the Seeker battalion. I wouldn't ever run it, but it sounds fun as hell.
I'm going to give it a try one day. One day.
Hopefully I'll see that.
Yeah,
maybe not anytime soon.
I've never run any of the non-hero chariots, so I don't know if they're any good.
I think they're just a waste of points, really, because the hero versions are just only slightly more.
Yeah, they do what your army does, heroes.
Yeah, I do see myself running like 3 or 4 regular Exalted Chariots in the Epicurean Revelers battalion, just to benefit from the 6s to wound or mortal wounds, because they've got a lot of attacks as well, and the Demonette keyword. But
that's the most important part, the Demonette keyword.
Yeah.
If you could add something, just one hero with that would be crazy.
While we are talking about battalions, actually, is there anything else you guys want to talk about from a unit point of view, or I feel like we're transitioning nicely towards battalions?
Yeah.
Literally everything in the book, mate.
Yeah. Maybe there's some secret stuff you can kind of steal from some other army.
Of the Thunderscorn from Basic Chaos, just heaps of them doubling hits.
That'd be funny, actually.
A Thunderscorn under a Pretender's army or some crazy stupid shot.
You can take all the Dragon Ogres and the Shaggoths in that Depraved Drove battalion, so that could be interesting.
But they don't come as battle line when you take the other guys as general in this, because that's a specific to Beast of Chaos thing. So you'd still need Demonettes.
Well, just take some Ungor. Take 3 Ungor in that battalion. You'll be fine.
Yeah. If only it wasn't melee only, a unit of 30 Ungor Raiders with exploding 6s would be insane.
That's I was running. Sorry to go off a bit topic here, but that was my beast list. All hits are 6 when you're in opponent's territory were 2 hits. And so I had 60 Ungor Raiders doing that. Running across the table turn 1 and blowing off some heroes.
Yeah. And for more words of wisdom like that, we recorded an episode about Beasts of Chaos with Joel.
That's right.
The link will be in the description below.
Check it out. Let's talk battalions. So you've got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4 battalion choices. Are they any good? Is there just like one standout, or what do we think of these guys?
There's 2 standouts. Yeah, correct me if you don't agree, but Epicurean Revelers and something Sidonites, or I have to double check. It's the hero one.
Supreme Cyberites.
Yes, which sounds like a straight to DVD version of Hellraiser.
I thought it was a pizza, but
it's probably episode 5 or 6 of.
Yeah, we've already talked about Epicurean Revelers, but the hero one, the Sybarites one, outside of Pretenders is amazing. You would never ever take it in Pretenders, and the reason in Pretenders it only fits 1 hero, and the ability of it is if you roll the number of heroes in your battalion or less, you get a command point. So if you have to roll a 1, it'd be a waste of 120 points. And it becomes one hero turns into 1 drop instead of potentially 6 heroes into 1 drop.
Yeah. So Slaanesh, you want to typically be running lots of heroes anyway. So 3 to 6 can take 4. I'd actually, if you're building a list, I'd suggest 4 or more heroes at a minimum. Just bit of a tidbit for that. But extra CP generation. You start with an extra CP, another artifact, which is always nice. Supreme Cyberites 120 is it's a top choice.
Joel, what about the other 2? You've got the Hedonite host, and then you've got the Seeker Cavalcade, I think it's called.
Yeah. So I'll start off with
those two.
I'll start off with the Seeker Cavalcade. So that's the one with the it's 2 to 6 units of Seekers or Hellstriders in any combination, then 0 to 4 Seeker Chariots. So this is literally your battle line and a Godseeker host. That gives you the 6-inch activate and pile in, which is really, really strong. Just not with strong units, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's 140 points, and it does include a big chunk of units. So I'm thinking you could run like MSU, Chariots, and Seekers and Hellstriders, and you could do some funky stuff with that. I rate it. I see value in 3 of the 4 battalions essentially, because the Hedonite host is like the real big one that includes like all the other battalions. So it's the super battalion. You can actually fit this in a list. I think it's Invaders. If you just take an MSU, everything, you can get to like 1980 points.
You still get all the big heroes and everything, and you get all those buffs. I can't even remember what the.
That's one to your bravery. That's one to your bravery.
It's such a weird choice to add to this army.
Yeah, and then bravery 11. It's pretty good. Actually, Flesh Eater courts hate playing against demons, I would imagine, especially Slaanesh.
It gets worse. I'm going to scream at you. Because... If I roll an 11 or a 12, I do a mortal wound. No, sorry, we're 11 bravery. What?
Yeah. It's, so the Hedonite host is trash. Yeah. You would probably pick that if you were playing a real big game. That'd be fun, actually. I'd do that.
Trying to fit into it and also paying the 120 points, you just lose what you could already have in your army.
All right, so if we think you've got 3 real battalions, and then you've got your super battalion, the 3 are pretty good. Some are probably a bit stronger than others, but it doesn't sound like you got a bad choice whichever way you go.
No. I do wish that there was like another page of battalions, but I'm happy with the 3 that we've got because they're so inclusive of. Yeah, they're so inclusive of all elements of your army. So you can have all your heroes as 1 drop, and then you can have all your battle line as another. So you can run Slaanesh really easily at a 2 drop, which is pretty good.
It would have been interesting if they gave us ones that revolved around the new named characters. That would have been a way to fit them into armies that made more sense.
Correct if I'm wrong, you don't have a triple, because obviously the other Chaos gods have the Kairos and 2 Lords of Change. You've got, Rodigus and Trifold. You don't have an equivalent, do you?
We have a better version. We have 1 to 6 heroes. We can take 6 of them if we could fit them.
Yeah. So it's just Chaos Slaanesh heroes. So you can even put named heroes in this. You can put marked Slaves of Darkness stuff in this as well. You won't be able to put beast stuff in there because they're beasts in a battalion already. But yeah.
You could put Archaon in it.
Yep.
All right. You got some choices.
Put anything with a Slaanesh now. You do.
It's my favorite just because you can do that. I run Pretenders mostly, but I would run Godseekers and always take that.
Yeah.
Speaking of choices, you have a strong ally list. You have Beasts of Chaos, which you've already acknowledged a few times. We've talked Everchosen, so we kind of talked about Archaon a little bit. You ally with Monsters of Chaos, Nurgle, Slaves to Darkness, and Tzeentch. You cannot ally with Khorne. Would you dip into your ally pool? If so, who or why would you pull from the allies? Mitch, maybe I'll go to you first. I know, Joel, we've already talked about beasts, but Mitch, anything that kind of tickles your fancy from that?
I'm biased against this because I used it at CanCon, but I have the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore, and the fact that his spell will now give us depravity points, it really makes me happy because I've killed Ilariel outright with it.
And for the benefit of people who don't know what that is, it is...
I'm just going to start talking about things that no one knows. It's a 7 to cast on this spell called Winds of Chaos. For the number you cast it, you roll that many dice. And it's every 4+ is a mortal wound, and every 6+ is D3 mortal wounds. So potentially you're manifested on the minimum, which is a 7. You roll 7 dice and you get a couple of 6s and you get D3 mortal wounds. Or you get lucky and you do 24 mortal wounds to one of the scariest Sylvaneth models there is. And now they give us depravity points, where it didn't used to.
That's scary.
Yeah. It's all about luck. It's not... the potential is high. It's kind of like Arkan's spell Curse of Ages, where it's like half the time you'll get one mortal wound.
Curse of Years, and we won't talk
Curse
about that because I've had two units of free guild Curse of Years off the table.
I've rolled it about 40 times and I've never killed an entire unit with it.
Joel, do you like anything from your ally pool? Would you ever dip into, say, Nurgle or Zench?
I see value in Kairos.
Yep.
There's a couple of things. Actually, we haven't touched on spells or anything, but there's a couple of things where Kairos can sort of really impact the magic attack of Slaanesh, because he knows all the spells from the dudes who are on the table. So, yeah, he's probably a good shout if you want to really push your magic game. Apart from that, though, probably not.
I guess I'm thinking about, that normally an army would have weaknesses, and you guys have said that Slaanesh has no weaknesses other than a bit of a reliance on heroes. So, if you did have, I don't know, a struggle with something particular, you could pull in a large group of clan rats, or we've got a sexy ass model from the monsters we could pull. But
yeah, I mean, I would like to bring a it's not Curseling. What's the dude with that thing on his shoulder from Tzeentch? That's
Changeling.
Yeah, Changeling. I would love to bring him just to like an extra stealing spell.
No, it is the Curseling.
It is the Curseling. Yeah, his thing, like, if he dispels a spell, or whatever the word is for it, I can't remember, unbinds, he can try to cast it, and that'd be so funny in every army you can fit him into. So if you got him, just throw him in Slaanesh army for fun. He's not an ally who would hurt you. He's not that expensive.
So I'm hearing maybe spell casting from Tzeentch could be a complementary piece.
Oh, you don't get any of their spells, so you really have to
just Kairos.
Yeah. All right.
Because then he can cast on their spells.
Yeah.
We will now talk spells and we'll talk customization, but I guess what I wanted to do first was build a framework around building a list. Yeah. And we've started talking we've had a really good discussion around the leader choices. Obviously, the Lord of Change, the Keeper of Secrets being strong. The Contorted. You've got the Blade Bringer on the Exalted Chariot have been strong. We've talked Demonettes. We've talked about generally building a strong list. Now it's about customizing. Before we get into that customization, anything else you guys want to talk about from a list building point of view?
Nothing that I haven't already touched.
The biggest thing, yeah.
Happy with that 2K. We've got like another 1,000 points plus in our toolbox to summon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something to be mindful of. If you are building to like do a lot of depravity generation, you will probably have to bring a second case of models.
It's weird, like forgetting summoning, it's not that expensive. Like there's some good boxes to get stuff out of, but then you remember that you also want stuff on the side if you're doing well to summon.
Mm.
And I think
it's funny when I usually summon stuff, I'm quite happy with just replacing the stuff that's dead off the table.
Yeah.
With like a couple of little extras on the side, but you don't need to be able to just crank that up to 11, so to speak.
It's more of if you have stuff on the side and you're able to summon it, you're just securing your win. You're not turning the tide. You're already ahead.
Yeah, I find that as well with depravity points, when you're already kicking your opponent's ass into the ground, that's when you're summoning all your stuff on, and the game's already a foregone conclusion most of the time.
More often than not, you're just going to summon a hero to save your ass, or you're going to be smashing someone.
Yeah. Yeah, it keeps you in the game, or it's the other excessively pounding your opponent to the ground.
It's a golden parachute.
It is. It's great.
I would trade so many things in this army just to keep that awesome summoning.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's strong, that's for sure.
With customization, I guess most armies would start off with looking at things like command traits. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't get a choice on a command trait because it's being, I guess, determined by if you're taking invaders or whichever, I guess, sub-allegiance. But within that sub-allegiance, you've got a choice of command trait.
Yeah, you've got six.
Because most, let's say, Stormcast, your command trait is determined. There's only one choice. But you guys, like Invaders, has 6 choices.
Yeah.
So we still get an option, but the pool is different between the 3.
Correct.
Correct. Yep. Yep. I guess I'm just thinking about, for people who might be coming from a different army into Slaanesh, there are some nuances between the two. So So
that's
when
the
it
same with artifacts too.
Yes,
There's
of course.
unique artifacts.
When it comes to command traits, what stands out from the Invaders? Is there anyone that kind of jumps out to you?
I'll have to double check. I don't like Invaders.
We can start where you want to start. I guess I just want to know, what are the command traits that I should be considering if I'm building a Slaanesh force?
My pick for Invaders is Skin Taker. Basically, at the end of the combat phase, if any models were slain, you just healed D3 wounds. So it's another source of healing. And that's pretty much it.
Best of the best isn't terrible because you get to reroll wounds. But
yeah, again, you have to be babysitted by another hero though.
Yeah.
Glory Hog's not bad with Invaders. You're generally going to be very heavy on command points. So just being able to generate more isn't always such a bad thing.
If we had more command,
Glory Hog is a good one.
But then with Invaders, you're keeping your 3 generals away from each other. So if you only have 1 keeper, all those command points are only going to double attack with so many units.
Yeah.
So more command points isn't going to make a huge. Yeah, I think this is very much a doubling up on the strengths of this host. But yeah, you don't need it. My favorite one, just lore-wise, or like the wording for it, is number 6 on it. Delusions of Infallibility, where you just give your general 1 extra wound because he believes he's invincible. It's so beautiful. It's like, that's the best.
I like it.
It's probably important to note what all the different hosts do for us as well. So in Invaders, you can have up to 3 generals. Now, you don't have to have 3. You can just have up to 1. But only one of them can have one of those command traits we were just talking about. When one of those heroes die for the first time, you get a command point, which is kind of nice. But you can't use command abilities from any of those general models while they're within 12 inches of each other. That's the downside. So you'll find that with,
I guess, like split forced, or you're running these heroes solo because they're going to be outside of a certain radius.
So if you're versing them, just put your whole force into one hero. They lose all their strength getting close.
Yeah.
Like if you focus fire one of the heroes of the 3 generals, then there's not much they can do without sacrificing their own buffs.
It's definitely interesting, but I don't know. I think it's very give and take, and you'll find that a lot with the book.
It's
with
Syll'Eske's
these hosts. Yeah, it is.
It just exists for Syll'Esske.
Yeah. And if you were going to take a Invaders host, is there an artifact that stands out for you?
Rod of Misrule is probably one of the standouts. So at the start of your hero phase, you roll a dice. On a 1, your opponent receives a command point. 2 to 5, you get 1. On a 6, you get D3. It's kind of nice. As I was saying, you're very heavy command points. Heavy on command points in Invaders host. Just because of all the heroes that you will be having. That's what it focuses around.
Yeah. I think Whip of Subversion is interesting. But
another great name too.
Yeah. They did great. I'm not complaining about anything in Invaders. I think that it doesn't suit the way I like to play, but they put a lot of work into this, and I love like on a lore standing how Invaders works. Just the idea of 3 really powerful Slaanesh heroes just putting up with each other.
And I think what Joel, you said that this the Invaders is a very much maybe a command point heavy build. So like exactly what you said around the Rod of Misrule would be, I guess, doubling down on that additional command points.
That's right. The Icon of Infinite Excess is also a pretty good shout. It's once per battle artifact, but I'll explain in a sec why they're sort of all right to take in a Slaanesh army. Just units that are wholly within 12. Add 1 to their hit rolls. So it's not too bad. But with these once per battle artifacts, it's actually been FAQ'd that once you pop them, you still have them. And what you can do with the Fane of Slaanesh is once you've used them, you can just throw them at the Fane, and on 2+ you get to reroll hits for the rest of the game. So it's not too bad to have those ones.
I'm glad they clarified that in the FAQ, because it was very much like I didn't want to do that and find out that like later on someone's gonna be like, oh, it turns out that you weren't allowed to be an asshole and sacrifice an artifact you already used.
Yeah.
But no, but the important part is they clarified that if you do that, you don't count as having an artifact for certain objectives, but all your heroes are wizards, so who cares?
Mitch, let's talk about pretenders. So we've talked invaders. Let's talk pretenders.
Yeah.
What do I get for being a pretender?
Well, you get punched in the mouth most of the time.
This is true. This is what.
Okay, so one of the keys for pretenders is that you're playing around one hero. Like you have other heroes, but you get 2 command traits for your hero to pick from. So out of the 6 command traits you get to pick 2 of them. So not only are you taking a Keeper of Secrets who is already a powerhouse on its own, you're giving it 2 of arguably the better command traits out of the 3 hosts, and just making it scary as all hell. Even if it doesn't get in and do its thing, the enemy has wasted all of their stuff trying to kill it because it's so scary. I think my favorite part is you get depravity points if your general's like fighting. So at the hero phase, if you're within 3 of enemy units, you get D3 depravity points. If you're within 3 of 3 units, you get D6. So it's really encouraging you to get in there and smash face. The only downside is the 1 to 6 hero battalion only fits 1 hero in this, so you never take it.
Right. And Joel, when you're building a pretenders, what command trait stands out first and foremost?
There's 3 for me. Firstly, Strength of Godhood. So once per combat phase in step 4 of the attack sequence, which is after saves when you inflict damage, you can add D3 damage to 1 attack that's been successful. So say if my claw does 5 damage, I can then add D3 to it before you take any like feel no pains or hag saves or whatever, you know. Yeah. Secondly, there's Strongest Alone, which I'm sure Mitch likes as well because he did mention it earlier.
Must take.
So you can reroll hit rolls for the attacks made by this general while there are no friendly models within 6 inches of it. So it speaks for itself. Having a keeper that rerolls all of its hits is pretty good. And then the last one is Hunter of God Beasts. I actually prefer this one over Strength of Godhood.
Me too.
Just because like the extra D3 is nice, but having damage 3 on like your sword makes a huge difference, as well as damage 6 on your claws. So what it does is add 1 to the damage inflicted by successful attacks made by this general when you're targeting a monster. So yeah,
Hunter of God Beasts in the game right now. Most armies have.
Yeah, we've got a lot of monsters.
Lists.
Yeah, so I mean, you're generally overkilling stuff, but I'm thinking of things like Ethereal Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, or I don't know. They're probably a good shout because they're ignoring your rend, which keepers have, but you're getting that extra damage through. Plus, then like even Flesh Eater Courts, dragons, or just death in general, they got like the 6 up. This is just adding an extra damage that they have to roll per attack. So, yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, I completely agree. Those are the 3 standouts. I think if you're looking to be more reliable, Strength of Godhood works because it doesn't need to be a monster you're targeting. So you can fight hordes and get that extra D3 damage. But Hunter of God Beasts, if you have that and say they fail all their saves and you double pile in, if they forget before the double pile in, that's 7 extra damage. And if you do double pile in, it's 14 extra damage you do.
Is that overkill though? I remember Joel, you were talking about this at I think it was about maybe the Cairns event or one of the events you went to recently where you felt that monster piece was potentially an overkill.
Oh, it is, but Slaanesh are all about excess, mate. So if you're going to kill something, you may as well kill it proper.
And there's situations, if you charge into 2 Terrorgeists and force one to go last, then fight the other one, and then double pile in against the one that's going last, you can kill both of them.
Quite easily.
And that's not overkill because you've split your damage.
I just want to call that out because for some people hearing that you're doing damage 6 and damage 3, while yes, for death that's great, but for some other forces it's probably a complete overkill. But
I think the first time I ever have killed a unit of skeletons was with my Keeper of Secrets, and it was because we'll go onto the artifact in a little bit, but there's an artifact that gives you +2 attacks, and you can pick the claws. So you have 4 attacks with the claws, max. They do 5 damage apiece. I got 2 6s, so I got 6 attacks through with the claws. They're -2 save, so it was 30 damage on a unit of skeletons and just wiped them out.
So Mitch, take us through the artifacts. So what are the ones from a Pretender's point of view that stand out the most?
There are 2 that stand out the most for me, but the difference between them is so large that I would only ever take the second one as if I have an extra artifact. Sliver Slash is my favorite one. You pick one of the bearer's melee weapons and add 2 to the attack characteristic. Because the Keeper of Secrets is just one solid monster, it's not a mount, you can pick the 5 damage attacks, where on a lot of mounted ones, they would be not choosable with the artifact. So you can take the claws from 2 attacks at 5 damage apiece when you're at 4 wounds to 4 attacks. The second one I would look at is the Pendant of Slaanesh, which is just in your hero phase, you heal D3. It's another nice added addition of a heal.
Yeah. Joel?
Yeah, there's one here which is probably arguably just as good as Sliver Slash in my opinion. We call it the Rite of Fuckery on the on the battle reports that we've been doing, but it's called the Scepter of Domination. Now, what this does in the game is it can give you a massive upper hands in the command point sort of shenanigans that go on. So at the start of the hero phase, so in your opponent's turn as well, if the bearer is within 12 inches of any enemy heroes on a 4+, you steal a command point off your opponent if they have one, and you just steal it. So they lose one, you gain one. So what this has done for me in the past is, say I've blown my load of command points on double pile-ins and running and all that in one turn. My opponent has a turn. I then steal his command point, so then I can double pile in his turn.
Yeah, it's
really strong.
That's sexy when I think about playing against Death, where they've always got a command point up their sleeve to bring back from grave sites. Yeah. I'm thinking for Horde armies like myself, I'm always trying to keep at least 1 CP in case I get double turned and I need to do an Inspiring Presence. All of a sudden, you've taken that away from me. That's hot. One that I really like, I'd love your thoughts on this, guys, is Breathtaker, which is the re-rolling the Locust battle trait. I don't know if that's... I like it.
It's good. But it is slated next to those 3, which brings it down. And if it didn't specify a Locust diversion, if it actually went on the one that Contorted Epitome has, that'd be amazing, because then that's hitting every unit within 6, and you re-roll each one. Having only one of them re-rolls, it seems like a waste of an artifact.
Yeah, look, it's what would you put on a Keeper of Secrets, the Sliver Slash or the Breathtaker?
Yeah, I mean, like independently, it's strong. But when I think what you guys said is that when you stack it up against the other artifacts, that there are some really strong ones.
It's a real hard choice to make.
And at the most, you're going to have 3 extra artifacts in an army. I mean, not 3 extra, 3 total. Like if you stretch it really far, you're going to have 3 total. So.
And the last choice we have, Joel, is the Godseekers.
That's right.
What does that do?
So as one of your charge rolls army-wide, that includes summoned units, which is pretty cool. And then whenever you charge, you receive D3 depravity points. If 3 or more of your units charge, you get D6 depravity points, which is pretty nice. Yeah.
Is it the only one that happens? Yeah, it's the only one that doesn't happen in the hero phase. It happens when you charge.
That's right.
So you don't have to survive charging.
No, it's the strongest out of the 3 of the summoning ones.
Yeah.
Out of the host in terms of depravity generation.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, because I've been playing Pretenders, and I have forgotten in all of the games that I've played to even worry about that thing.
Yep.
So
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, I think if I was playing Godseekers, it's easier for me to sort of manipulate. So I'd probably
because it's an event happening.
Keep track of that. Yeah, yeah.
But like remembering your hero phase, you've got so many new things going on. Like all these spells you can cast. You've got your heal that you're probably going to have. I forget it every game too. I don't think I've used it once. Did you? Yeah, you said about the +1 to charge.
Yeah.
That's. I don't think it's the best one. I think the rerolling ones on units of 10 is pretty great, especially with their heads. But it is good for a summoning heavy army. If you're planning on summoning things, you get +1 to charge, or you get your cogs off, like you said earlier.
All of a sudden takes a 9-inch charge to a 6 when you have cogs.
Summoning a unit of 30 demonettes with a 6-inch charge is pretty rude.
With a built-in reroll as well. It's pretty hard to fail that.
Yep.
That's pretty dangerous. Joel, what are the command traits that you like?
My pick out of all this, I haven't read any of the other ones. It's just this one for me. Number 6, Speed Chaser. General can retreat and still charge later in the same turn. So strong.
I would add Thrill Seeker to that. Running and charging with a Keeper of Secrets is pretty cool.
What I'd do with this Speed Chaser would be giving it the Thermal Rider cloak. So playing a Keeper of Secrets, how I used to play Big Tits back in the day, was make her fly, make her able to retreat and charge. Add 4 to her movement, moving 18 inches.
Yeah.
+1 to charge. Yeah, really strong. Round charge is also good, but I think that the retreat and charge is probably a better pick in this current sort of meta.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your model being bogged down in chaff. I mean, it's hard to bog down a Keeper of Secrets, but
bogged down for 2 turns and there's no chaff left, or there's no Keeper left.
Yeah, that's it.
And as you said, especially with the Thermal Rider cloak, where you're flying, and that all of a sudden, you're jumping screens, you're getting into juicy targets, then summoning even more behind the line. That's awesome.
Yeah. Trail Sniffer's interesting.
Yeah, that's...
If your general's in enemy territory on a 3+, he gets +1 attack to all the characteristics.
Just until your next hero phase, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't keep going.
And what about artifacts?
Got to give a shout out. This isn't my pick, but just a shout out to the Girdle of the Realm race. So subtract 1 from the bearer's wounds characteristic. In addition, the bearer can fly.
Essentially, your Keeper of Secrets is wearing a corset that's too tight.
it's just funny.
The bearer's wound characteristics.
Yeah, but then they can fly.
Games Workshop knew that we would not take this over Thermal Rider Cloak, but they just put it in anyway.
I'm just going to pause for a second. I want to read this out. So this magic belt, it clinches at the waist, its teeth digging in painfully. It renders the... Okay, right. We can see now this literally is a corset that's been tied up, or some chaps that are, arseless chaps that are too tight, and it's just restricting movement, but they can fly.
Allows them to skip across their enemies. Specifically, it says skip.
Neither of you are allowed to ever cosplay this stuff at my events. Just FYI. No arseless chaps, please.
You could pull a corset as tight as possible. It'd still be loose on me.
All right, it's a real artifact. Other than the corset of doom, is there an artifact that we like?
Yes, Bindings of Slaanesh. It stands out the most to me. So at the start of the combat phase, you pick an enemy hero one enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer and roll 2d6. If you roll higher than their move characteristic, they get -1 to hit. And if you roll higher than their wound characteristic, they take d3 wounds. So the middle ground wound heroes, like 6 wound heroes that you just bump into, you can just do some wounds to and then fight stuff that is actually important. But stuff that's bigger, that's not necessarily fast, you can make it so it's harder for them to hit you. Yeah.
Joel, anything from yourself?
Yeah, my pick is Enrapturing Circlet. So enemy units within 3 inches of the bearer cannot retreat.
Yeah.
In addition, blah, 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 does a mortal wound on a 2+.
Extra.
So for the reason why I like Speed Chaser so much with the retreat and charge command trait, this is the exact opposite sort of thing, and it works really well in tandem. So you can lock up units with your general with Speed Chaser, and then make your opponent not being able to retreat. Then you can just piss off and go and kill whatever you want to. So I think it's really strong. I've actually ran that in the past. It's been the same in the General's Handbook as well.
What is the other one? Thready Voice Box, -1 from the attack characteristics of the hero's weapons is interesting, but it's I think he's right. Enrapturing Circle is just so useful. Just holding, you can pick anyone in an army. Any army has someone who needs to not be fighting you, and if you get him in,
you look at Skaven or something, where they like to retreat and then charge again, or just retreat onto an objective around you. Skinks, another good example.
Doesn't work.
Making them not being able to actually leave combat is very, very strong.
Sylvaneth, you get one of their important heroes in. You don't even need to fight it. Just keep it in combat, fight everything that's trying to protect it, and then if they want to go somewhere, grab an objective, they can't get away from you.
Yep.
That's great. Spells. So luckily you don't have the world's largest extensive spell lore, but you do have some good ones. So you've got the Slaanesh demon wizards have a spell lore. You've also got your greater demon spell lore, and then you've got a mortal spell lore. So I imagine most people will be using at least the demon wizard one, probably the greater demon one as well. What comes to mind when it comes to the Slaanesh demon wizards, just the generic ones?
Hysterical Frenzy is interesting.
It's amazing.
Cast on a 7, pick an enemy unit wholly within 18 of the caster and roll a dice for every model. Each 6 is D3 mortal wounds. So you play Grots. What's the max size on a unit of Grots?
60.
So we roll 60 dice. Every 6 is D3 mortal wounds. It has the potential to roll more damage than there are models in that unit.
Yeah. What you need to keep in mind, though, it's wholly within. Yeah. So I just submitted my list for BadgerCon, and I'm pairing this up. I'm putting this on the Contorted Epitome because she's re-rolling casting rolls. I've also taken the Umbral Spell Portal Endless Spell. So put this on her, 18, and boom, dead unit of Grots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like 4 of the 6 out of this lore. I love Soul Slice Shards comboed with Phantasmagoria. So basically, Phantasmagoria, you roll 6 dice for every 5+, subtract 1 to their bravery. And then Soul Slice Shards is pick an enemy unit within 18, roll 2d6. If it's higher than their bravery, they suffer a number of mortal wounds. That's the difference between that and the roll that you made. So there is another couple. If you want to do like a bravery bomb list, you could run those 2 with another couple of artifacts scattered throughout the book, and also malign sorcery, and you'll be laughing. But you've also got
that new endless spell from Forbidden Power that might, as it calls -2 bravery. So there is that bravery bomb in there.
So
just the idea for Phantasmagoria, the fact that you can get up to 6 minus from someone's bravery, like Stormcast running around with 1 bravery.
Yeah.
Oh, here's my unit of 10 Liberators. You killed 5 of them, and they're running. They're all running.
So if you combo these 2 up with the Nagash's head, and then you've got the Bird Endless Spell from Beast of Chaos. That's also another neg-2 source. And then I think there's in Pretenders there was another neg-2 to a unit's bravery.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you get Soul Slice shards off on something with like neg potentially 10 to their bravery, you're doing some mortal wounds to them.
So that's really just what we're trying to say. It's anti-Nighthaunt.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
minus
great,
their bravery
great,
completely, and then do
Great
a bunch
for
of
that.
mortal wounds.
I really like the call out for the Beast of Chaos Endless spell as well. I don't think if you were thinking about this, you probably wouldn't have thought about that. So it's a really good call out. Thank you.
Because you can fit a Bray Shaman in.
Well, yeah, you just take the Depraved Drove, or just take him as an ally.
Just take an ally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points to pay when you could just take an ally.
Yeah, it's 100 points for the Bray Shaman, and then it's like 40 points, I think, for the birdies. It's not too bad.
Yeah. What was the fourth one you'd say you like?
Born of Damnation. It's just a healing
Really?
spell. So, yeah, casting value of 5, so it's easy as to cast. Pick a friendly hero, heal a wound. If you roll 10+, it's D3 instead of 1. I always put this on one of my chariots, just because, for reasons mentioned earlier about the Sinistrous Hand, healing, even if it's just 1, it's more depravity points that you're generating essentially.
How would you rate them? So you said there were 4 out of the 6 that you would go to. What are your priority ones? So number 1 is the
Hysterical Frenzy.
Yeah,
that's definitely number 1 pick.
You know how I said that I always run at least 4 heroes in my list?
That's for the 4 spells.
Yeah, except instead of Born of Damnation, I'm taking one out of the Greater Demon one, the heal out of there, which is just a
better
buffed up version. Yep.
You might not agree, but I think Progeny of Slaanesh is an interesting spell with how fast a lot of our units are now.
I think it's good too. That's 14 dice you're throwing at a zombie dragon or a terrorgeist or something like that.
Or say someone from Flesh Eaters did the buff that gives them their wound characteristic plus to their move on a courtier. It goes up to a 20-inch move, so you're rolling 20 dice.
So you're picking an enemy hero within 6, and you're rolling dice the equivalent of that hero's move characteristic. Yeah. So if something is a flyer and they've got a 12 or 14 or 16, that's 16 dice, and on a 5+, it's on a mortal wound. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot of chance, but it's very fun.
It's short range, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the Keeper of Secrets has a Bravery Bomb spell too that's really short range, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's everything within 6 inches of it.
Yeah.
D3 mortal wounds.
Phantasmagoria fits so well in this army.
Oh, yeah.
What about your Greater Demon spells? You've got 3 choices.
And they're all good.
You've got one choice that is 100% every single time, and then the other 2 you kind of just toss up how your army works.
Yeah.
Like,
and what's that go-to one?
Progeny of Damnation. He was speaking about it before. It's just a 7 to cast. It's a D3 heal on a Hedonite hero within 6, and if you get a 10+, it's D6. Very useful. Yep. Plus the hand, plus the Pendant of Slaanesh if you took it. And then
you can heal up. I think in this book you can heal 6, 12, 15 just from 2 spells and you can 2 spells and the and its hand. You can heal 15 wounds with it total. That's not going to happen all the time, obviously.
I bring Life Swarm too, just for fun.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
I'd like to see you try with Life Swarm. Do that. That would be annoying, but it'd be fun.
Song of Secrets is really cool. It's pretty much the exact same as the Hysterical Frenzy. Same range, same Holy Within, and the same to cast, but instead of getting 6s are damage, 6s are depravity points. So another really good one to throw through the portal early game. Yeah. I didn't even consider the portal. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to have to build that.
Oh, yeah. Do it.
I mean, you could also combine that potentially. I mean, maybe not with the Greater Demon one, but you've got your Balewind Vortex as well, adding 6 inches. So on some of these spells that are short range, you've got
That's a greater demon one, so you wouldn't be able to put it on a belt.
No, that's what I just said. I said on the demoned one.
Oh,
you
sorry.
could. You couldn't do that on a greater demon one. They've got too high of a wound characteristic. But on some of the smaller ones, for the regular demon wizards, that's another way around it.
I've never used a Balewind. How hard is it to get off one?
Pretty easy. But then once you've got a model on top of the Balewind, they often become a target for shooting and magic. But it does have some good benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see a Herald sitting on that next to the Fane of Slaanesh, just cutting herself and casting spells.
Do you guys do you even have a mortal wizard to cast mortal Slaanesh wizard spells?
I have 2.
We do.
Oh,
I mean, they're
Sorcerer
not
Lords.
Yeah. Slaves to Darkness. I've got a converted up one, if I can find my camera, which is the snake bodies from like the Daughters of Cain with a demonette head on top to be the mounted Sorcerer Lord. And then I've also got the Manticore one.
and what spells do you like from here if you're going down this route?
Oh, Dark Delusions. You cast the Phantasmagoria first to lower their bravery, and then for this spell, it's a 5 to cast. You pick an enemy unit wholly within 18, roll 2d6. If you beat their bravery, everything that attacks it gets +1 to hit. So keepers are hitting on 2s. All your heroes are hitting on 2s. All heroes hit on 3s normally, so they're hitting on 2s. And demonettes are hitting on 3s. So it's pretty great.
It is pretty good. We did miss one in the Greater Demon one, Slothful Stupor. So casting value of 8. Yeah, casting value of 8. Pick an enemy hero within 12 inches of the caster. Until your next hero phase, that hero cannot use command abilities and cannot run or attempt to charge. Now, that sounds amazing, right?
8 to cast.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never take it purely because it's an 8 to cast and you can't actually get any pluses apart from like arcane terrain onto a greater demon.
I was going to ask you
I
if
was
there was any
touching
inherent casting benefits in your spellcasters.
You know how I was touching on allies and taking Kairos earlier?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'd take Kairos for, because he would learn that spell if he's within 12 of that hero, and he's a lot more reliable to roll a 4 than an 8.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think it would be, if I could get it off, it'd be my favorite spell. Just the idea of having like a Terrorgeist sitting in front of you that can't charge, it can't run, it can't use its command abilities, and you're just like, I'm going to ignore you for a turn and go fight the rest of your army.
This would lock up death really well too. Like if you put this through a portal, obviously, onto their general, and you start killing their units, they can't actually bring back their units from the grave sites. Yep. So, yeah, there you go.
But 8 to cast, even if you're on Arcane, that's still a hard ask.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'd only take this if I had Kairos in my list for, because he just needs to roll a 4 on one of those dice, and it's an 8. Yeah. So it's a lot more reliable.
I wouldn't take any of the other spells from the Mortal one.
Oh, that's okay. And we don't have to talk about every single spell, otherwise we'd be here till the cows come home. But I think if I'm building this list and I'm thinking about which of the spells that I want to build in, I think we've talked a lot about the most valuable ones that competitively work.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys would talk about from a spell point of view, or should we talk about endless spells?
I think we should go on endless spells.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we've talked a little bit about the generic endless spells, the benefits to cogs, the benefits to some things like Umbral Spell Portal. Let's talk about your inherent ones first, which is you've got 3 built in for Slaanesh, which is your Visage, your Mirror, and the Wheels. Are any of them any good?
The Wheels is very dangerous, because it works on stuff with bad saves, and we have bad saves. And it doesn't ignore Slaanesh. So you wouldn't take the Wheels because it would just kill your demonettes. It would cut them to pieces.
So no to Wheels.
I wouldn't say no exactly. So with Slaanesh, you don't get depravity from doing damage with endless spells, but you do get damaged. You do get depravity points from taking damage from an endless spell. That endless spell could be your own. So hear me out. right?
You're playing in the wrong direction here.
So
I summoned it hurt me.
Say if you had, I don't know, 28 depravity points and it was your turn and you could bring on the wheels or whatever, you run over yourself with one of these endless spells, you take 2 mortal wounds, you've now got another keeper on the table, which you just heal up those wounds with the spells and whatever. So, while they're not great, there is niche reasons to take them.
That's 40 points. That's Geminids.
Yeah. So, like,
if
you
I
just
have 40 points up my sleeve,
I get the feeling that endless spells for you don't take on Slaanesh at all.
No.
I would say almost always take the mirror. I love it.
Mitch, why? So I feel like Joel is about to retort, but Mitch, why do you like the mirror?
It's a 6 to cast, so it's not that bad. When you summon it, and every time it moves, enemy heroes, well, not enemy heroes, heroes that are not Chaos Slaanesh, within 6, you roll a 6 dice for each one. For every 6 you roll, you take that number. So you say you roll 3 6s. So you do 3 by 3. So that's 9 mortal wounds.
It's dice roll to the power of that number. So 1's 1, 2's 4, 3's 9.
Thank God they put an example, because no one would ever believe you if you went, I rolled 3 6s, that's 9 mortal wounds. They'd be like, no, that's 3 mortal wounds. What are you talking about? They put an example in the actual war scroll for it that says the 3 6s is 3 by 3. So the max damage on this is 36 mortal wounds, because if you roll 6 6s, it's 6 times 6 is 36. It will probably never come up that high.
That would never happen. That's
but I've rolled 3 6s out of 6 twice already. So it has the potential to like one-shot weak heroes or do a significant amount of damage to a big hero, but he's right that you're losing depravity points potential by doing that damage with the spell instead.
So Joel, is that the reason why you're not a massive fan, or you kind of retorted against that one?
Look, so it does have play. It stuffs around with your opponent's movement as well. If they move further away from it in their movement phase, then, or even charging or anything, it's just they move, then they'll take D3 mortal wounds. But yeah, again, like the whole thing just doesn't generate depravity points, and heroes are generally the things that you want to be killing with your characters anyway.
Yeah.
So 60 or 80 points.
60.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
so do you not get depravity points in the first turn that it's summoned?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
You don't get the actual model, so it's not a hero doing it.
Right. Okay.
You don't get depravity points off damage done by endless spells. You do get depravity off of damage done by spells.
Yeah.
So spells and
endless spells in the FAQ.
I wasn't sure, even like in that first turn when my wizard actually casts it, if you would generate, but the answer is no.
No, so when you cast, to bring on an endless spell, you're actually just summoning it, and then once it's set up, then it goes and does its own thing, and it's classed as a unit.
Yeah, right.
Basically.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I see that logic.
Yeah, I've taken it in every list. I could see myself dropping it. I wouldn't be upset, but that's the only one I'd take out of the 3.
What about the Visage? Why don't we like it? Or why doesn't Mitch like it?
I mean, if Joel wants to defend
I don't want to speak on behalf of Joel yet. I don't. Joel might.
If Joel wants to defend it, I'll go against it.
He might have a picture above his bed head and thinks it's the greatest thing that Slaanesh has ever created. I don't know yet.
It's meh. It pluses 1 to your bravery and minuses 1 from the enemy bravery.
Mitch thinks it's garbage. Joel, what do you think?
Well, we're talking about getting the gash head and the horror gas or whatever it is, and the birds from Beasts of Chaos and all that. This is just another one that you're adding to that pile of bravery debuffs. So, I mean, like you could. It's actually a really good counterplay for Daughters of Cain. Like if they're building to get Mind Razor off with bravery, I think they can get to like 11 with a certain build. Then this here would then kick that in the guts, but that's obviously a niche army. But Yeah, look, it does mortals. I'd take this for the same reason as the wheels if I wanted to. Just do damage to myself to get an extra couple of depravity points for taking damage. But yeah, look, all three of them I'm not a massive fan of. I do see play in them, you know.
But again,
they're
you're
just not going to make it into
40 or
minus.
60 points could add another hero, like if you rearrange
Yeah.
your army.
That 60 points for the mirror is upgrading a Herald on a Chariot to an Exalted Herald on a Chariot. You know? Well, Exalted Chariot.
What about your malign sorcery / forbidden power endless spells? So we've got Boatman, we've got we've got things like Umbral Spell Portal we've already talked about, cogs where you can increase the speed or even slow it down and cast an additional spell. What do you guys like? Anything for endless spells / malign sorcery and forbidden power?
A standout for me is Palisade. Just having that extra little bit of control over the board, knowing that you can compare it to a fight, and if they get rid of it with their spell casting, they've lost a spell. But if they don't, then they can't go through that direction. You're kind of blocked off. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially with your keepers going to be in combat. You're going to be close to put that wall up.
Just drop it behind you so you can't be surrounded as easily.
Joel, anything from yourself?
Yeah, look, I see some play with the bridge endless spell, the new one. If you set that up near your Fane, so with a Fane, if you summon Holy within 12 of it, you get a D3 depravity refund.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can set them up within 12 of the Fane, and then within range of the bridge, teleport them with cogs up and Godseekers. You now got a fresh unit who's charging on a 6, and you're getting a refund on depravity too.
When does the bridge
you can just
activate?
It's just in the hero phase, I think. Hero phase
So
or
you have to
movement
wait a
phase.
turn still, but it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, true. But
You summon
still,
at the end
like,
of the movement.
yeah,
If it happened at the end of the movement, that'd be the best endless spell for Slaanesh, because you'd summon and just immediately move.
Even then, like even if you don't put it near the Fane, you can still just get like one unit from one side to the other, because like Demonettes are quite slow these days in comparison to a lot of other things in the game now. So having them zoom across the table with a 6-inch charge with a reroll is pretty handy.
Would you see the boatman with a bunch of Demonettes?
I don't trust that in the slightest.
I don't rate it, actually, if I'm honest. I don't think it's any good.
Why think you're inside of it when they dispel it?
Reason why I don't like it for is, sure, it's gonna sort of get your unit from A to B, then you get to move again, but I don't know, like a lot of alpha strikey armies, the downsides to them is they don't have the synergies behind those units that have ran up and charged. And I think I don't know, I think the bridge is better, even though you have to be 9 away when you set them up.
And look, and it's good. That's good to call out, because people right now are about to start playing and testing with the boatman and the bridge and some of these new spells. And you're right. Like I hand of Gork my guys all the time, but if things don't go my way, that unit is there for the taking. There's no one to save them. There's no hero to inspiring presence. There's no any way to buff them. If I get double turned, that unit is well and truly destroyed. So it is a gamble.
It's a weird thought too, because in the previous, before this book came out, Demonettes had the Locus where if they had a hero within range, when people tried to hit them, they had to reroll 6s. I never bothered. Like that was good, but I never bothered because my heroes were doing things. And now with the Locus of Diversion, I always have a hero backing up my Demonettes, because 30 Demonettes going first when the key hero is not even in the combat and they're getting charged. So I wouldn't want to separate my heroes from my units.
Nope.
Unless it's a keeper and then he's off killing a whole army by himself.
Yeah, we're not.
That's exactly how I've played my list. Just hang behind Demonettes, move up just slowly. Well, sort of fast for Slaanesh, but just slowly move up the table and then just take on whatever comes at you.
Yeah. Not balls to the wall anymore, but still pretty quick.
Any other endless spells you'd call out?
So we touched on cogs, mirror, the bridge potentially. You like the Palisade.
Yeah.
Geminids are obviously a good shout. They're just good. But
Geminids scare the crap out of me.
yeah.
-1 to hit on Demonettes or -1 attack on Demonettes. That could turn on you really easy. I wouldn't risk bringing.
Oh yeah. No, that's true.
But I think
probably. Sorry, you go, mate.
No, I was just going to say, from what I'm hearing from you guys, is that one, endless spells are points you're not investing in a hero. Two, the damage that you're doing with them is not generating you depravity. So there's a trade-off. I think Cogs is probably, if I was building a Slaanesh force, Cogs would be almost like an automatic one. One, for the additional movement, but two, to slow down time to generate additional spells, and then so the additional save is what I'd want.
That rerolls all saves, right?
Save on the caster.
Yeah, all failed saves.
Failed saves.
We don't really need the additional spells. We have so many wizards now. We're an army, like we don't have any pluses, but spellcasting wise, we're an army to compete with a lot of spellcaster heavy armies now, because we just have so many for no reason. Like they just are. I don't think I would get the +1 spell because I could just bring another herald.
So you think something like spell Umbral Spell Portal would be good?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
I think the Umbral Spell Portal is almost an auto include, unless if you're going a Bulls to the Wall Slaanesh army. What I've found is for turn 1, you're actually doing nothing. All you're doing is moving up the table. So by actually being able to have some play in turn 1, by either that's like nuking off half a blob of infantry, or making something fight like whatever spell that you want to do. Like I think it's just a really good shout. Just being able to do something in turn 1.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I guess, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, I'm down to our last, I guess, couple of questions, which is based all around your experience and just, some of those top tips and those advice from your games of experience and list building. Was there anything else you guys want to talk about from like a command trait, spells, customization, tweaking?
Realm artifacts is something that I've been looking into, because
our
artifacts are good, but there's usually 2 that are good, and then you don't know what you're gonna choose next. But the only ones that really stand out are, you've said a million times, the Thermal Rider Cloak on a Keeper of Secrets is amazing. I think the Ignax Scales is also really interesting.
Which is your 4-up mortal wound save.
But again, that takes away from what we want, is to take wounds and heal them. So
it does slow down that taking process, though, so you're not relying so much on the healing, which isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah. I was interested in the Magma Forged Blade, because your chariots have so many attacks, which is the 6s do a mortal wound, I think.
Yeah, that's
Joel. Joel, you mentioned the Sword of Japan / the Sword of Judgment on, was it
Japan?
Yeah, the Contorted Epitome. So they've got 11 attacks. I don't think the mirror counts as a mount either. So 11 attacks base.
Oh, I'll double check actually.
It's a lot of attacks just based off a little 60 by 35 mil based hero.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The mount does not count as the mirror does not count as a mount.
Yeah, so 11 attacks profile, which is
Sort of Judgment. That's crazy.
Yeah. Gonna get a couple of 6s in there. It's good. What else? I don't know. I really like the artifacts I've been using inside this book. I think talking to the realms, Ethercourt's Brooch is another good shout, just because you're CP hungry. But basically all the main sort of ones that we're familiar with now are probably just as good in this book as all the other ones.
The chalice is interesting.
A few of the most common artifacts you'd see would be things like Ethereal Amulet. Is that got a place in this book?
The save isn't good enough to warrant it.
Gryff Feather Charm?
Yeah.
One hit?
It's not bad. Yeah.
Again, like Thermal Rider Cloak would always win out over that, just because we don't have fly.
Yeah. Yeah, being able to fly with Slaanesh is really strong.
What's the other one that does D3 when you fly over stuff?
Whatever that's called. That doesn't do depravity.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get depravity, so...
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe the one that lets you ignore damage from spells, or has that been that got a little bit weaker though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're talking about the lens of reflection or whatever.
The lens of every Seraphon player.
Yeah, that changed like a week after the FAQ drop. I don't think I've seen it on a list.
Oh, did it? Yeah. Gee, I think I've seen it on one list, and that was Clint from Heralds of War. I think he took that with his Slaves to Darkness one time.
He probably forgot the FAQ.
The amount of like hard changes to things that happened after that was, I think, unprecedented on the level of things that were changed through FAQ.
And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this show post FAQ, just because things change so quickly. Bad. So yeah. So final questions. How do I use a Slaanesh force? Like, what's the advice you give me to get the most out of my my army?
Buy 3 start collecting boxes, so you can get a good start to your army, or 2. Minimum 2, you get 2 chariots, 1 to summon, 1 to play, 20 demonettes. I wrote down, if you run that and then two more boxes of demonettes, you've got a 1,000-point army if you just want to play like a small game and test them out.
And then Joel, how do I best play with the force?
Well, firstly, I'd grab or grab a Wrath and Rapture box or 2 as well. Yeah. Well, how I'd play it, it's definitely a finesse army now. It's not just a run in all guns blazing. You actually sort of have to worry about positioning and stuff now. I wouldn't play the quick game. I'd play the medium to slow game. You know, when you can summon, there's no rush. Yeah, there's no point alpha striking, because alpha striking can just bite you in the ass. And if you were to alpha strike another Slaanesh army, you would lose the game, hands down. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun army to play. I think that a lot of people are going to struggle playing against Slaanesh for a while anyway.
Yeah.
I think that it's very unique in terms of how it plays and how you're actually going to play against it. Play to its weaknesses, but yeah, time will see how the meta reacts, I suppose.
And look, if someone is watching this stream who doesn't play Slaanesh, and they've hung on this long, it's like 2.5 hours of content, and I want you to throw them a bone. Like, what's one way you can start to like break the wheel of Slaanesh? Like, throw these people a bone. They've hung on for 2.5 hours.
I've got
you've said there's no weaknesses, but give them a little bit.
My takeaway from this army is you will die. Your units will die, and you won't be upset about it. Every other army you've played, you're like, oh crap, I really didn't want to lose them. I could have used them there. You will be happy because you know that most of the things that are dying in your army either will get summoned back or are giving you points to summon other things back. You'll have a load of fun the whole time, even on losing games.
You haven't answered my question.
What do you mean? That's what I'm giving you. It doesn't matter how you play them. You're going to enjoy yourself.
All right. You guys are keeping your secrets.
Right.
You're keeping your secrets.
You want to. I'll let you in on a little secret. Right. Kill off the support heroes first.
Yeah. The keeper is a distraction.
There you go, guys.
Also,
there you go, folks.
Fine, I'll give one too. Slaanesh likes to go second.
Oh, there you go.
Get closer to us, please.
Yeah.
No, that's good. No, I appreciate it. Again, if they've hung on this long, I think they deserve a little bit of like we've heard about how amazing Slaanesh is this long. At least give them something.
We've still got 3.5 hours to go, don't we? We're doing another 6-hour review, or
doing a review of the FAQs and then the design.
I actually was just getting out the Beasts of Chaos book to really go over them.
Yeah, hang on, I've got it here.
All right, so you've given me some advice. You've said buy some start collecting boxes. You've said look for that Wrath and Rapture box. That's a mouthful. Wrath and Rapture box. Accept the fact that things are going to die. You're going to have fun. The heroes are critical. Obviously, depravity points. What what other advice would you give a new player, or maybe some experience you've had from playing these at events? Joel.
More experience than me.
Jeez. For a new player, just collect what you want, and the army will sort of fall into place for you. Like, you can be listening to us, as what McGrath just said, for the last 2.5 hours and getting an idea competitively, but
yeah,
come up with your own stuff, man. Like, this book's still only been out for 3 or 4 weeks, or whatever it is, and yeah, just do you. If you want to take Syll'Esske and Syll'Esske, do it.
We could be wrong about Fiends. We could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like, Fiends are good. The thing is, they're just taking up the same role as a hero. But if you want to play with Fiends, fucking go for it.
Yeah. And there's so many ways to get depravity that it's not a huge loss if you really like them.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think, Joel, you mentioned almost at the start of the stream that purely focusing on depravity is a trap.
It is. 100%. Reason for that is if you've got all your points invested into, say, 3 keepers and like a chariot or something, and you've got min battle line and whatever else, like, there's probably not much else in your list actually. But if you're just running all killy heroes, you will lose your games because Slaanesh killy heroes are not very strong. So if all your chaff will die really quick because it's all fragile, it's all glass, and then you can lose all of your keepers or all of your heroes in a turn if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So all that depravity that you'll generate means fuck all when you got no heroes to summon it off.
Nothing is more frustrating than looking at how much depravity points you've got and there's no heroes on the board.
Yeah.
Having 35 depravity points, I can summon all this. No, doesn't matter. Nothing left.
Nope.
I would rather have 10 depravity points through the whole game than lose all my heroes and have 40.
Yeah, that's right. One more advice, buy up Demonettes. Demonettes are the bread and butter. Definitely get some start collecting boxes, as Mitch has said. Build the Exalted Chariots with the Heralds on top. Seriously, you will love those things.
They're so mean.
That's my advice.
23 attacks. I've charged them into 3 units and gotten the bonus 9 attacks that would give. So what is that? 31 attacks. No, 32 attacks. And then also they double on 6s. And they have -1 on most of the attacks, and they're all hitting on 3s. It's fun. It's
look, those chariots. When I was up in Cairns at the tournament, I was versing Gemma. I think it was game 3, day 1, and my chariot pretty much one-shot her zombie dragon.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
Just because re-rolling hits are 1 against it. It's got extra attacks from the other couple of units that were around it. It was fighting last, doing extra hits on 6s. Yeah, it just all adds up.
Yeah.
And weighted dice. Just seriously weighted dice.
That wins most games.
Yep.
More attacks.
And it's good. It's good dice. It's high quality dice as well. Like, it's hitting on 3s with re-rolls. Sure, it's winning on 4s. Who cares? But neg 1. It's better than just like base infantry, which are 4s and 4s or 5s and 4s or whatever.
Mentioning dice. What's going on, Games Workshop? We deserve them. Why did Gavin get such cool dice and then we got nothing?
Hey, I technically didn't get dice. I got bouncy squig dice that I can't use ever.
Yeah, but I played Flesh Eaters. I got no dice for them and then no dice for Slaanesh.
Oh, just go.
I'd love to know what Slaanesh dice would look like. Actually,
they probably made them.
Interesting.
And went, no, this can't be sold. No,
you'd probably go find them at your local Club X or sex shop.
Those dice, like those a sex position dice, is roll them in.
Yeah.
Or the dice would be so like wrongly shaped that you would just hate rolling them. All spiky and just not fun.
Yeah. Make your fingertips bleed when you go and pick them up.
I've paid the price. Give me 6s.
Like a spiky jacks. One thing I would like to talk to you guys about before we start wrapping up is talk to me about the strategy or the logic behind the way you use depravity points. Are there particular units that you like to summon? early, late. Joel, you mentioned the daisy chain from a hero to a unit. Like for someone who's learning to use depravity points and getting the most of that out of that toolbox, what's some advice or logic or the way you think about depravity points?
Yeah,
I will start with Joel first.
Yeah. So depravity points to me is just replenishing units with then the extras that you may get throughout the game. So similar to what makes like Grimghast Reapers and Legions of Nagash so frustrating is the fact that you can just bring units back for a command point. Depravity points is basically the same thing in my opinion. Like if I lose 30 Demonettes, get some depravity back, I'll generally be able to summon say 20 Demonettes, another hero back. For every lot that I summon, I want to be putting on one more hero, whatever that may be, just so then you're never running out of depravity points or potential summoning heroes, So, yeah, that's how I use them. I like putting bodies on the table. Bodies wins games. It'll be rare that I throw in another keeper on the table, but I do like to have that on the side. Yeah.
And Mitch?
I like it for most of the same reasons. I also like just the idea of bringing back a keeper after someone's worked hard to get rid of it. That's like demoralizing, and it makes it so their game focus isn't on objectives. It's on, oh great, I've got to deal with that keeper again, which is a good strategy to distract people from the fact that you've got more victory points from objectives. But my favorite thing is just, it's a security. It's knowing that like you've got your last hero that's in combat and you summon a herald before your turn starts, and then your last hero dies, but you've got the herald now. You still exist. You're still continuing the game. It's just safety.
Yeah, definitely take like a keeper in your list. Definitely take like one or two more survivable heroes, like medium sort of sized heroes, and then you can take sort of like one or two sort of little support heroes if you want to. But basically, like in my list, I'd always start off with a keeper, to Exalted Chariots, and then like the Epitome. That's just what I start with. That's auto include in all my lists. No, I sort of work it out from there. But yeah, you don't want to be giving away your key feature of the army of depravity points to your opponent. Yeah.
No, that's great because like that learning how to use that resource is very unique to Slaanesh. So it's not like something you practice over time with another army. So it's good to hear from you guys, experienced generals, how to use that depravity. And I think, Joel, you mentioned earlier as well that this is a late game. You get a lot of value. So don't try to alpha strike. Don't try to like do as much as you can early. Play that late game, and you've shared many stories how the late game has, especially a late game summon has been critical to your success.
Yeah, you're never out of it until that last hero is dead, basically. Depravity is sometimes turn 2, mainly turns 3, 4, and 5 is when you're summoning stuff on the table. That's if the game lasts the distance. But yeah, never give up if you still got a hero on the table, because you never know what's going to happen.
Especially if it's an Rapturous, because she's just giving you depravity points for free.
Oh yeah.
I think she's a weird character to summon because she's 14 depravity points. 12?
Yeah, she's 14. Yeah,
I wouldn't summon her. I would summon the normal herald over her. But
that's what I said earlier. That's why I said earlier. To new people, actually, this is advice I'll repeat here. Or go out if you're starting Slaanesh, go and buy like 2, maybe 3 of the little heralds, or convert them up or something. Paint them up, get them looking nice. Don't ever put them in your list, but always have them on you, because you never know when you're going to need those 10 depravity points to daisy chain with.
You got the old Mask of Slaanesh, just run that as a herald.
Yep.
I've got the old Skylar, funnily enough. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Skylar, who was a Slaanesh hero. Like she was a snake, and she had like 4.
Yeah.
It's
got to be one of the worst sculpts I've ever seen in my life.
Her face was a bit messed up.
It was probably actually worse than the old Keeper model. It was that model. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's down there. It's definitely not up anywhere.
It's up on someone's shelf.
Yeah,
It's in my box. It's in my box along with all my lobster claw
That's
demonettes
where
and
Slaanesh likes to be in your box.
the old metal. No, but I've also got the demon princes as Azalea or Ezekiel, or I don't know, another Slaanesh demon prince. But enough about me, guys. Any other final feedback before we wrap up to the peeps?
Oh, I'm sure there's stuff I will remember after the video's over.
Well, if you don't, that's okay, because you're going to share where people can find you after this video. So if people want to know more about you guys, any shout outs, any where to find you guys on the internet, maybe Twitter. Mitch, I'll start with you. Any shout outs to your posse, your crew?
Well, I'm with the Lords of Ruin Warhammer team. And mostly the only place I post anything besides on my personal Facebook is on my Twitter, which is CAPPN56. And it's just me posting my terrible painting.
Luckily, I've got that in the channel description,
Yeah,
so you don't have to remember he's weird.
It's my high school one, like the one you make up when every account is taken in a video game.
I didn't have Twitter in high school, so
I don't think it was there when I was in high school either.
All right, so cool. We know your Twitter handle. Go find his weird stuff. Represent Lords of Ruin.
Don't find my weird stuff, just the paintings I do.
Oh yeah, Slaanesh is like it's arseless chaps. Joel, I'm sure you want to give some shouts.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm going to shout out the Emergent Gaming crew, obviously. Yeah, like listening to me on this, you can go and listen to me more on Bush Radio. You just find it on your podcast app or whatever. And if you want to talk to me, you can find me on Twitter at Joel McGrath MG.
And he's now abusing your eyes on battle raps. So Measured Gaming on YouTube is putting up battle raps.
Yeah, check that out. They're really terrible, but good in their own way, I think.
They're good value. They're good value.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not quite Doom and Darkness just 10, yet, but they're doing well.
They're Bendigo style, mate. That's all that matters.
I love it. You guys do a good job.
Yeah.
I think it's time for bed. I think it's time to talk. Talk to the wife. Guys, thank you very much for your time, Mitch, Joel. You've added a lot of value. If you've enjoyed this, please give us a like. Put some comments in the comment section. Ask questions, and I can pass it on, or go to the Twitter handles that the boys have shared, and you can speak to them and ask them questions and feedback. I'm sure they can't wait to review your lists, because that's the first thing that comes out. People are like, oh, I want to do this. What do I do? But no, this is great, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to end the session now. I'm sure we'll have more faction focuses in the future. And the General's Handbook's around the corner.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Cool. Catch you later.
Bye.
See you guys.